Nope, that's not the account that I want to be on, is it? Nope, it's not. Move that. Where'd that one just go? I lost it. There it goes. You come over there. Over there. Over there. Okay. Hi, Luca. You are the first one. As I get myself set up. It's not fun to watch me set up, but it is. Good morning, Erica. Starting us off with a $10 super chat. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Good morning. All right, let's get some music started that we couldn't decide on. So I'm just going to kind of start at the beginning because that's the only way that I know how to do things. So that's how we're going to do that, I guess. Mia! I love you. Mia. Mia. I love you. Good morning, everybody. Let's get started today. Yeetus the fetus theme songs. I know, but it's so good. The Yeetus the fetus theme song. Hi, Yami. Hi, Dragon's Cult. But that part's so good. I love that part so much. And he spends. Oh, sorry, it's not done. Wait. Fuck that baby. And then he spends the rest of his journey reckoning with his lack of morality. All right, let's get started. Good morning, no matter what woke time zone you are in. I appreciate you guys being here. This is my attempt of day one of trying to move my time so I can do a full 3 hours and be here at 9 a.m. I don't like waking up early. I just want everybody to know. It was not fun for me to wake up early and to, thank you so much, Hector, to do my workout and shower and do all those things early. I didn't like it, but it's fine. We'll get used to it. I'm going to have to as soon as the kids go back to school anyway. So we're here and we're doing the thing. So I appreciate you guys being here. Thank you so much. Let's do the spiel, shall we? I need to take one of those like Herculean Jim Carrey breaths when I do it. Like, okay. Let's get started here. You guys are knocking out goals, so I love you all so much. If you're watching over here on TikTok, let's make sure we are getting those taps going. Please. Thank you, Trisha. That's what I was trying to do. Y'all are killing me. I liked it 50,000 likes within the first hour, but I know you guys can hit 100,000 likes, and I think we did hit 300,000 likes the last time I went live for 3 hours, so I know you guys can do it, so thank you so much, because that is the most likes that I've ever gotten. So let's push to do it again. I know you guys can do it. So let's hit 300,000 likes before we end 100,000 likes within that first hour. I know that you can do it. Share out the live, please. That means reposting, especially repost right now before we actually play any videos, before we show articles, because then TikTok gets a little weird about allowing you to repost. So, let's do that now. Share out the live. You can repost it, obviously. Add it to your story. You can share it to 5 of your friends. You can share it to more, but if you have group chats and things like that you want to bug them with me, please do so. I would appreciate it so very much. Do your daily heart me if you have not done so. Guys, that should be gold. If it's gray heart, I'm very disappointed in you. If it's a follow button, come on, what are you doing? Follow me, send your daily heart me. It gives you access to stickers in the chat. I just added the new one yesterday of the literal picture that James Comey shared that he immediately took down of the seashells by the seashore. That is now a case. Again, we covered the fact that he has his lawyers have proposed a dismissal based off of selective prosecution and vindictive prosecution, but we here on this platform can use that sticker all we want, because Todd Blanche said we're not going to go after everybody who says 8647, so that is now a sticker. Do your daily heart me so you get access to that sticker. All right, I would appreciate that so very much. We just went through all of the OneCoin goals that I usually do. Thank you guys so much. We're getting off to a start here this morning. I appreciate it. So let me put a new one. Thank you guys for completing that. Speaking of gift goals, there are how many? Hector said it, I believe. There are 6 gifts left in the gift gallery. If we could light that gift gallery up this week, that would be amazing. If you have an extra chunk of TikTok change that you would like to use on my gift gallery, I would appreciate it. I know they get expensive. I know it gets wild up in these TikTok gift gallery streets, but I would appreciate if you guys could contribute to that. Thank you so much. If you're watching over on YouTube, please hit that thumbs up button for me. It does help push us out onto the algorithm over there on YouTube and especially on Shorts. I do go into these things wanting to have conversations. That's why I have a number on the screen, but I have conversations based off of factually based evidence, not your feelings. You're not going to sit here and say it's common sense. You're not going to say you don't think. You're not going to do what somebody yesterday literally did on TikTok as a guest and say, well, it's happening. I can't prove it, but I know it's happening. Absolutely not. I'm going to ask you to source your claim. So if you're not brave enough, if you're too busy, hit that thumbs up, even if you hate watch me. So maybe some of your brethren can come in with actually factually based sources, but I doubt it. So please hit that like button over there. You can subscribe. You can become a member. You can send jewels. You can send super chats. As we saw, Erica started that off this morning with a super chat. Thank you so much for that $10 super chat. Starting us off, that is a sure way that your message will get read. I know I have missed a couple. Yesterday, I know I missed at least one that I didn't get on the screen, and I apologize for that. But for the most part, those ones, especially if they're there for a longer amount of time, they get read. So send those super chats over there on YouTube. I would appreciate it. Good morning to my Twitchies. I see you guys over there. If you are not following me, please do so. You can also subscribe. If you pay for Prime, Jeff Bezos gives you 1 free Prime sub a month. Why not use it for moi? And if you subscribe, you get access to emotes in the chat that are similar to the stickers I have over here. Thank you so much, Peter, for giving me my crab crown. Oh my God, I have crabs. Thank you for giving me crabs. You know I love when you do that, Peter. It just thrills me. It makes me happy. And you can also send bits over there on Twitch. All right. Here's the rest of the spiel, right? I have my 100 goal that I have every single day. Guys, this is my job. This is what I do for a living. And if I'm going to be giving you 3 hours of my time, I expect that we get this done and we pay for women's labor on this platform. We can do so by crowdfunding with a $1 train, a $2 train, a $5 train, whichever you would like to do and contribute to. I have Cash App, Venmo, PayPal, all in the link trees in my bio across all platforms. Let's make sure we start working on that today. Okay, let's get started. I'm going to have to make a sticker that says okay. I've been going through to get clips, and I realize how much I say it. I say again a lot and okay. I'm going to have to make a sticker that says okay, again. Let's get started here. Where do I want to get started is going to be the problem that we have here. Let's get into a little bit of Iran because that should go pretty quickly, and then we can get into this huge economy section that I have, which is kind of a mismatch of different things, but it all is kind of economy. adjacent for the most part. So let's get into some polling real quick. We have our good boy Red Bull Golden Retriever Harry Enton back at it again. They're continuing to cite this WAPO poll that made everybody so very mad yesterday. And this is Harry Enton specifically on running the numbers with the Washington Post poll in regards to Iran. So we are going to play that. Let me fix this before I get yelled at. Nope, I did. I fixed it. I remembered. Okay, we're good. And then we'll bring it up and we can start playing it.
We were talking yesterday. I was curious, given that we do appear to be...
Real quick, though, if you guys want to talk about the SAVE Act, I do have a section on elections today that we can get into. However, Juan, have you read it?
We were talking yesterday. I was curious, given that we do appear to be in full-scale fighting again, I wanted to know, how do Americans feel about it this time around versus where they were at the beginning?
Yeah, historically unpopular. That's the phrase that I would use. The war was unpopular to start off with, and it's become even less popular. You could see it right here. Okay, Washington Post poll, Trump's Iran war net approval rating. In early March, look at this. It was way down there at minus 13 points. Very rare for a war to start off underwater on the net approval. That is approval minus disapproval. But look at how far down we are now, right into the Red Sea. 40 points underwater, according to the Washington Post poll. Look, I tried to find every single poll I possibly could. I believe this minus 40 points represents the least popular poll in terms of Trump's net approval rating on the Iran war, the entire war so far. So as I said at the beginning, it started off unpopular, and now it is even more unpopular, historically unpopular, 40 points underwater.
Well, since you're talking about history...
Here we go! They're doing it already every single time. We are doing the thing. CNN fake news. CNN fake news. What sources, Harry Enton, citing liberal tiers are the best? Since you guys don't know how to source things. Juan, I would also ask you, how many pages is the Save America Act without Googling it? If you've read it. So, what source is he citing? Washington Post. Okay. Newsmax. He's citing Newsmax. So then your issue would be with Newsmax. He works for CNN. He is citing a Washington Post poll.
Put this in some historical perspective.
Yeah, okay, let's put it
Liberal tears. Oh, you're a bot, sweetie babe.
in some historical...
A woman is somebody who would not touch you. A woman is also an adult human whose gender identity aligns with their personal schema on the female sex.
perspective. You think the war has been worth it or not worth it? And why don't we take a look here? We can compare Iran in 2026 to Iraq in 2006. And keep in mind, the Iraq war by this point in 2006, at this point in the midterm cycle, it had been going on for 3 years at this point. We're only a few months into this war. Think the war was worth it. Iraq in 2006, 58% said it was not worth it. And again, that was 3 years into that war. Look at this now. You think that 58% was high in terms of not worth it? 68% of Americans, more than 2 in 3, say the Iran war was not worth it. Just 20.
Now remember, with polls, and we talked about this yesterday, that polls are just a snapshot of a situation. However, we are seeing snapshot after snapshot after snapshot of this war not being popular. Now, the number being higher, even though we've only been there for a few months in comparison to 3 years in Iraq, is going to actually probably be PTSD and trauma from Afghanistan, from Iraq, from these places. The American people, or at least the American people that were polled in this Washington Post poll specifically, are so over it. It was one of the things Donald Trump knew to campaign on and lie to you about, which was no new wars. And then he lied to you, and now you are pretzeling yourself to defend his war. America's done with being in the Middle East. We're over it. We don't want to be there anymore. We are tired of losing our servicemen and women over there. And you're just going to have to accept that there's not a poll out there that you can show me where there is approval of this.
The 8%, less than a third of Americans now say the Iran war was worth it, even less than the 40% who said the Iraq war was worth it.
Yes, Hillary didn't agree with Trump. She agreed with both sides of the political spectrum, both Republicans and Democrats, about stopping the IRGC. Did she give away with which to do that?
Again, at this point, heading into the 2006 midterm cycle, of course, we remember what happened in 2006. Republicans lost both the House and the Senate. And at this point, this 28%, even lower, and this 68% saying not worth it, even higher than the 58% who said this about Iraq 20 years ago. And so this is a very, very bad number for the president. I think a lot of Republicans in Congress don't like this number one iota.
No, look, this is a notable difference. This was a devastating year for Republicans in the midterms there. And I'm really surprised, frankly, that the disapproval is that much higher at this point. All right, who are these people? What is the partisan makeup of people saying that they don't think the Iran war is worth it?
Yeah, the 68% not worth it. Just a devastating number for Republicans. What is driving this number?
Well, let's get into that in just a minute, but I do want to update this so it gets to sit there for a minute just to kind of rage bait them, because I enjoy doing that. W's to Peter for the 1353 for you know what time it is. The good number. W's to Peter for the good number that I know I don't have to actually do math on because we know it here in this community. So W's to Peter. Thank you so much for bringing that down, getting us to our favorite number. Now let's look at the demographics with which that's going to be your issue. You guys are refusing to acknowledge this, that independents are what wins parties. And guess what? You're losing them.
Well, it's two groups that I think are just really interesting. Say the Iran war is not worth it. Look at this. Among all independents, it is 77%. More than 3 in 4 of all independents say it's not worth it. How about GOP-leaning independents? These are independents who say they actually lean Republican. 63% of them, more than 3 in 5, nearly 2 in 3, say that, in fact, the Iran war is not worth it. Again, as I said at the beginning, this is a historically unpopular war. It's a war that is becoming only more unpopular. And while President Trump won't be on the ballot come November, a lot of Republicans in Congress will.
OD, because I'm not sure how to say the rest of your name. You said BS, independents love conservative values. You're right. Independents tend to lean, right. They tend to lean conservative. However, that does not mean that they are approving of this war.
And they cannot like the look of these numbers, especially with a group of GOP-leaning independents who historically vote Republican.
They need these voters.
They need these voters. They need these voters. They need these voters. And right now in the Iran war, they most certainly don't have these voters.
Brutal. You're doing the thing that you all are doing, okay? I agree, Butch, on the fact that polls are a snapshot. They're not representative. They are a small sample size of the American people as a whole, but I have yet to find a poll that disagrees with this and is approving of the war in a majority way. Now, who was it? I just forgot your name. Brutal. And also liberal in the chat here, okay? You guys keep saying, CNN. Again, he's sourcing Washington Post. But if that's not good enough for you, which I kind of figured it was, which is why I played it first. You guys are fools. Absolute fools. How about all those people who watch Fox News? You guys like Fox News? Do you guys like Fox News? Oh, well, Laura Ingram's going to cite the same goddamn poll.
All right, Steve, thank you very much. And with the midterm elections a little more than 100 days away, the clock is ticking for President Trump to get out of this war before voters head to the polls. It's making a lot of Republicans nervous. It's already, as we know, unpopular. According to the new Washington Post Ipsos poll, 69% of Americans disapprove of the handling of this conflict.
Uh-oh. Now what? That's not CNN. It's not the Clown News Network. It's not the Commie News Network. Do you see how your brains, your sheepy little brains, are so brainwashed to see the CNN logo that you don't listen to anything else we said, which is that they were sourcing Washington Post? Guess what? Fox News referenced the same goddamn poll. What do you do now? Now what do you do? Now what do you do? OD, you were the same one who said you watch Fox. Stop playing. You're trying to be anti-Semitic now when you were in the chat earlier saying, I watch Fox News. Now Fox is fake. Uh-huh. Sure. Uh-huh. So what poll do you listen to? What news do you listen to? Okay? Thank you so much, Erica, again, for the super chat, the $5 super chat. You said, independent, voted Trump in 2016 and he lost me in his first 6 months in office. WU for having those critical thinking skills. We appreciate that. I'm also a registered independent. I just tend to vote Democratic because we unfortunately live in a two-party system without ranked choice voting, and we have money in politics that we need to remove. So thank you. But again,
Republicans cannot let this become an endless distraction, especially if they want to win in November. Here to discuss.
Now, here's the thing. You guys keep saying Fox has been fake for a while now. I know that. I'm glad you know that. I'm glad you are able to reference the fact that it is Fox Entertainment and not actually Fox News, and that they have been sued multiple times. And of course, their big one, the almost $800 million settlement that they did with Dominion for their lies about the 2020 festival. But again, the point is, it doesn't matter what the little logo is down here when we're talking about polling. What we then look at is the polls that they are citing. Okay? So it doesn't matter whether it's Laura Ingraham with Fox News or Harry Enton with CNN. What they are citing is a Washington Post Ipsos poll, which is a snapshot of the whole. And I have yet to find a different poll that gives approval of how he's handling Iran. Nobody has been able to find that for me. So of the snapshots we are getting, it is not popular with the American people. The American people are over being in the Middle East, and that's the way it is. So here is Peter Navarro. Peter Navarro, who famously wrote a book on economics and could not get an economist to vouch for the things that he was saying, so he created one out of thin air. A man by the name of Ron Vara is who he cited as his economist. Guess what? He did the Tom Riddle bullshit where he took Navarro in his last name and made Ron Vara out of it to be able to cite himself. Love that. But this is Peter Navarro talking about what he believes would happen if Iran had access to a nuclear weapon. Again, our intelligence never said anything to the effect of them being close, that they were months to years out from having the capability to build a weapon. So,
deal with Iran. If you think Iran would act responsibly with the nuclear weapon, just look at what they're doing now. They've got less discipline than a baby in diapers. They're just spraying their crap all over that area, like Qatar, Kuwait, Jordan, Saudi Arabia.
Why are they hitting those Gulf nations? Why are they hitting those Gulf nations? Could it be because of the war that Israel and the United States started there, February 28th of this year? So no, it's not that they're acting like a baby with a diaper and explosive diarrheaing cyclosporiasis all over the place. That's not what's happening, right? It is defense and retaliation for the fact that they were attacked unprovoked.
Yeah. It's like...
Exactly, Ray. Iran has been 2 weeks away from a nuclear weapon for 30 years. And we've played that. We have played Netanyahu saying that over the course of 30 years.
Deal with Iran. If you think Iran would act responsibly...
Whoa, Mia's right. What is going on? I know there's only 57 of you in here, which is weird. Where'd you all go? But 8,000 likes? That's wild. Let's get tapping, please.
With the nuclear weapon, just look at what they're doing now. They've got less discipline than a baby in diapers. They're just spraying their crap all over that area, like Qatar, Kuwait, Jordan, Saudi Arabia. Yeah. It's like...
No, that's not what happened. You're tapping the dislike button? Okay, good for you. Does that make you feel like a big man? You can't defend your points with actual factual information, so you just hit the thumbs down button. Ooh, you're real brave. So then Bessent was on with Maria Bartiromo. We will see more of that within the section in regards to economy. But this is Bessent talking about how we've been successful in Iran, and Bartiromo doesn't push back. Why? Because she can't now, because she knows that she has to glaze the taint of the president. And as we saw in her clip from over the weekend, where she says, how are they able to strike us when Donald Trump said and keeps saying that we obliterated their military? And so somebody must have called her and told her, just shut up when they talk. And so that's what she's doing.
The economic pressure that you have been putting on Iran at Treasury. You've said that the Treasury is fighting an economic war against Iran, and you've done sanctions against Iran. I want to get your take on that. You put...
OD, I know that you are a troll, but I just want you to know that all liberals don't have blue hair. I'm not a liberal, and that's why I have pink hair. Okay.
Major sanctions on Iran's shipping empire earlier this month, sanctioning a network tied to Mohammed Hossein Shamkhani.
I'm so sorry. I'm going to play this video, I promise. But the YouTube chat be making me laugh. Joel says, and how many times does she say Donald Trump in a day? I'm a political commentator, okay? I'm a political commentator in the United States of America. So of course I'm going to say Trump, Trump, Trumpity, Trump, Trump, dump, dump, because that's the president of the United States of America. And the people that he appointed that the Senate confirmed are part of the Trump administration for the political landscape of the United States of America. Okay? That's silly. Well, you work in a restaurant. How many times do you think you're going to say the word onion tonight? Probably a lot. Probably a lot.
Targeting more than 200 vessels, in addition to the Navy blockade and the president's tough stance and retaliation against Iran. Can you tell us what's left in terms of your purview, sanctions and the economic warfare that can still happen against Iran?
Yeah, so we had the very successful Epic Fury, which is six weeks campaign, eliminated the Iranian Navy, the Air Force.
So this is their new thing that they're doing. And they've been trying to do this ever since the war went past 6 weeks, which was Donald Trump's 4 to 6 weeks. It went past 6 weeks. So now what they're trying to do is say that that was just one portion. Okay. And now we moved on to something else that was going to take longer. And we never gave you a timeline for that, did we? No. And so they're claiming that we obliterated their Navy and their military, except they are still able to fucking strike us and kill 3 of our servicemen and women. I apologize. Of our service members. So apparently we didn't obliterate shit. So we are still in active war with them. That is just their way to try to glaze Donald Trump, who said 4 to 6 weeks. It's been past 4 to 6 weeks. Probably be another 2 weeks because, that's their favorite terminology. So that's how they're trying to paint this now.
Of course, a large part of their missile and drone.
Joel, why is that the next thing you say to me? You said, how many times will I say Trump? I went off on you about the fact that I'm a political commentator and you should just be smarter. And your next statement to me is a threat. Come at me, bitch, I'm locked and loaded. Why would I do that, Joel? I have no reason to interact with you other than on YouTube. Are you okay? Do you have a trusted adult that we can reach out to?
Drone stockpile destroyed most, if not all, of their capability to rebuild. And then we moved on to what we call economic fury. And that's a 1-2 punch. It's the blockade. And then what we're doing at Treasury, and we are tracking these accounts all over the world. We froze a crypto wallet linked to the IRGC the other day, about $130 million. We have found the money man for the Ayatollah, and we are tracking the Ayatollah's properties around the world. We hope to soon be able to print his $100 million plus properties and show the addresses. And we're preserving this money for the American people, but most of all, we are constricting the regime. Their currency has collapsed. It is at an all-time low versus the dollar. It's in free fall.
Sure, but the dollar is also in a bad way right now. So again, you're going to hear this a lot, which is that we're doing bad, but they're doing worse. And that's supposed to make us feel better as we sit down to the kitchen table and try to figure out how to pay our bills.
And we think the inflation rate is upwards of 180% in Iran. So, the government is causing the people to suffer. And we're going to keep pressing, but we're also going to...
The government is causing the people to suffer. It feels familiar. Yeah. You're right. The government is causing the people to suffer by getting us into a war in Iran that we didn't need to be in.
Marshal the resources and save the resources that we recover for the Iranian people when we get on the other side of this.
So,
Sure, Besant. So that's what Besant said. Let's get to a couple clips, then we'll be done with Iran and we can move on for today because, it never ends. This is Representative Jimenez talking about the loss of the 3 more that we have lost. Total now 17 service members lost in service of this goddamn war that's not a war that is a war that's not a war. So we will get into that. Thank you so much for the Jules Jones. I appreciate it very much. And also, can I get huge W's? Thank you so much to Chenster. Thank you so much for the $20 super chat. He said 52 Army vet independent, never voted for Republican because I don't believe in snake oil, aligned strongly with Bernie's domestic policies. I can relate to that. I've told people that I have not voted for a Republican in office, but I have retained conservative judges in my state locally, just because of their track records were good. You can look those up when you vote. So that's as far as I've gone.
And let me say that, my condolences go out to the families of our servicemen and women that are killed, that have been killed in Iran. That's the nature of warfare.
So it is a war. It's not a military campaign. It's not a small operation. It is war. It is warfare. And you are willing to sacrifice the service members of our nation and of people who voted for you, the sons and daughters of people who voted for you on the premise that you would not start any new wars. And you're willing to sacrifice them for that. Okay.
Say that, my condolences go out to the families of our servicemen and women that are killed, that have been killed in Iran. That's the nature of warfare. We will have some casualties. We've had an extraordinarily low number of casualties for the amount of fighting that's been going on. The Iranians have suffered much, much worse.
See, he just did what Bessent did. Bessent did it with Iran's economy versus our dollar. Jimenez is doing it with the lives of our service members. Well, yeah, we've lost 17 people, but Iran has lost a lot more, including the 168 children at the school in Minab that they refused to release the report on the investigation of that most likely was from us because of the accuracy with which the targets hit. But don't worry, because it's still worse for them than it is for us.
Than us. That's not a consequence. I'm sure that's not a condolence to the Gold Star families of these young Americans that lost their life. But it is war. We are waging war, and we're waging it for a reason, so that Iran can never obtain a nuclear weapon.
They did not have one. They were not close. As somebody in the YouTube chat pointed out, the terrorists shouldn't hide behind children. You know that there's a lot of pieces of places in the world where people think we are because of how our military operates and what our government does to exploit the global south for capitalistic means that would think that we are terrorists hiding behind our children. And so that makes it okay to bomb them? Does it? No, I wouldn't think so, but that's interesting that you do, only because you're far removed from them, also because they're brown for a majority part. So, and then last one I have for today is Representative Jimenez talking about maybe what will bring them to the table is going to be taking over their territory. That's what we're doing now.
Technology, and then those that gave them the
I'm here. If you know exactly what I'm doing, you would be able to use the correct use of your. I don't know why we have to go through this every single day. Y-O-U''RE means you are. Y-O-U-R means your. It's a possessive. So I know what you're trying to do what. What my trying to do what.
technology should suffer the consequences of U.S. sanctions. And so, this is an all of the above kind of approach to this problem. We should be helping any of the insurgents inside of Iran that want to see regime change, and then at the same time, military.
Oh, okay. So now we're going to help fund regime change that Pete Hegseth says specifically we weren't doing. Okay.
Pressure, economic pressure, and then maybe what will bring them to the table is finally if we take some of their territory and say, well, that's no longer Iran, maybe that'll bring them to the table. But you just continue to ramp up the pressure until they come to the table, and continue that pressure until we get an agreement.
Including taking over their territory and their land. We love that, Hitler. Actually, where is that other piece? Because this was Donald Trump's concern, right? When he was asked about it. Let me see. Did I have it in the economy section? I might have. Yes, I did. So I'm going to put it here because that's a good way to start. This is Donald Trump was asked about any concern he might have. As we know, he doesn't, quote, doesn't think about the American financial situation at all, end quote. He said that. And then he's asked, are you concerned that the renewed war in Iran will raise inflation? But no, he's not concerned. Why? Oh, because the Defense Department and the corporations that get contracts through the Defense Department are doing so well. Fuck the rest of you.
Something you know about the domestic economy. Inflation report came out for June. It was actually deflation. It was down 0.4%. Yep. Are you concerned, though, that renewed operations in Iran might turn that around, or is that going to be a trend, you think?
Well, look, we're making a lot of money. The defense companies are doing great. It's jobs. It's all jobs. I'm not doing this for jobs, but when you think of it, we make our own equipment.
Something you know about the domestic economy.
Okay. So what about the people?
Inflation report came out for June. It was actually deflation. It was down 0.4%. Yep. Are you concerned, though, that renewed operations in Iran might turn that around, or is that going to be a trend, you think?
Well, look, we're making a lot of money. The defense companies are doing great.
We're making a lot of money. The defense companies are doing great. What about the people? What about the American people whose gas is now at $4 a gallon again? When you promised lower gas and grocery prices. Personal facts, right? It's good for the companies, right? Do we remember, and I keep having to bring this up, the exit polls for the reasonings with which people voted for Donald Trump? Number one was what? What was number one? What was the number one reason they voted for him? And somebody in the YouTube chat, you said, has she told the truth once? When I said that he said he doesn't think about the American financial situation at all. That was me telling the truth. So his own words exist. You can cry about it. Let me see. I have to get rid of you just because you're being a white nationalist now. And that's just gross. So, oh God, go back. Oh, well, that works, I guess. Go away for 24 hours. Just get out of here. Nobody needs you. Okay. Sorry. I'm trying to handle these things. Awesome. Thank you. Eggs. Chris. Well, I mean, eggs plays a factor into it, right? In way of in way of economy, right? The reason that the exit polls show that they voted for him the most was because of economy and cost of living, and he has yet to do anything about that. But moving on to our economy section is what we are going to do. Guys, I know there's only 69 of you in here, but we're only at 14,000 likes, and it's very, very disappointing. I'm sure that my algorithm is freaking out because I didn't start at 10 like I usually do. I understand that there are other people on, but if we can keep working for those of you who are in here, please keep tapping that screen. I would appreciate it so very much from you if we could get that accomplished and really just try to make headway, because we're definitely not going to hit 300,000 likes this way. So keep doing that, please. I would appreciate it, guys. I also have 8647 left in my goal. If we could start where I know we can't repost. I know, because I've started playing clips. 8647 left in my goal. If we could start $2 training to get that down, I'm crowdfunded by you, and we pay for women's labor on this platform. Cash App, Venmo, PayPal, all in the link trees in my bio. So this is Hassett. This is from a week and a half ago or so. And Hassett is describing the negative sentiment on the economy. And it's just interesting the way that he chooses to phrase it.
One of the things that you see when you look at the sentiment indices is that it depends a lot on who you're surveying and where they are. So, for example, for the Michigan survey, Democrats are basically saying the economy is the worst that it's ever been, which is kind of a stretch.
How? I mean, it's maybe they mean by the sentiment, right? That was the thing with the Michigan study. They weren't saying that I think he's misrepresenting what the Michigan study said. It was not saying that the economy itself is the worst that it's ever been, because that would be obviously false and untrue. What the Michigan study was talking about was consumer sentiment. The consumer sentiment is at the lowest that it's ever been. I believe since 2020 was the Michigan study. Specifically, we went over it the day that it came out. So I think he is misrepresenting what the Michigan study said. It said that the consumer sentiment is at its lowest point that it's ever been. Not that the economy itself is at its lowest point it's ever been.
Good survey. Democrats are basically saying the economy is the worst that it's ever been, which is kind of a stretch. Republicans are saying it's about the best it's ever been, which, is less of a stretch. But
because we like that. Do you guys see how you will just let him glaze and you don't question anything? Again, I think he's misrepresenting the Michigan study, if I remember correctly. But on top of that, saying that it's a stretch that Democrats have their consumer sentiment is lower in regards to the economy, and the Republicans are higher, which is less of a stretch. Why? Because we like that outcome. If the Republicans think the economy is doing well, that's good for us. We like that. Now, here's going to be his problem, which is the problem with everything, right? Because actually, again, he's misrepresenting the study. But if we're talking about consumer sentiment and Democrats think it's bad and Republicans think it's good, that would make sense to me. They both play party politics that way. Hey, I did the thing that you guys like. Two wings of the same bird, two sides of the same coin. They're going to be on opposite ends of the spectrum because of their political ideologies. The problem is when you get into independence, and what the issue is going to be is Hassett is going to share independence, and then he's going to critique them and admonish them because maybe they're actually giving you a real picture on consumer sentiment.
if you look at independents, then they're right with Democrats. And then if you look at over time the variation of the Michigan survey, Democrats and independents.
I don't know, Winter. You said, didn't Biden and Harris implement foreign policies without the people's approval? If you mean the people by way of Congress, I'm sure they probably did. We have a huge problem with executive power. I would like to see an example, but I'm sure we have a huge issue with the consolidation of executive power in way of foreign policy.
Then it's almost a perfect match. And so I look at that and I say, oh, well, the Michigan survey is surveying 2/3 Democrats. That's what people are calling independent or Democrat.
Oh, so independents are Democrats.
Then they're right with Democrats. And then,
Sorry, let me go back.
which is kind of a stretch. Republicans are saying it's about the best it's ever been, which, is less of a stretch. But if you look at independents, then they're right with Democrats. And then if you look at over time the variation of the Michigan survey, Democrats and independents, then it's almost a perfect match. And so I look at that and I say, oh, well, the Michigan survey is surveying 2/3 Democrats.
He thinks he's so funny. He's such a fucking... He got shoved in a locker multiple times. Not saying that's okay. I'm just saying that if I saw him now, I'd probably give him a swirly. So what he's saying is this Michigan survey on consumer sentiment, again, he's misrepresenting how it is being released. I would agree. Consumer sentiment for the Democrats is going to be down versus the Republicans, which is going to be high split politically because of their ideology. However, independents are also saying their consumer sentiment is low. And so what has Hassett do? He has to try to deflect on that and pretend and disregard it. And so he includes them with the Democrats and calls independents, hey, are you a registered independent who are having issues with the economy? He called you a Democrat because that's his only way to disregard and deflect from the fact that consumer sentiment about the economy is down.
That's what people are calling independent or Democrats, or so similar to Democrats that the survey has no value. And so I think that there's a lot of, sure, it's good, but look at what people are saying that happens with flawed surveys, because that's an easier story, especially for people who don't like President Trump to tell.
Now, remember, that's also what they're running with, what you guys did this morning to me with the poll about the Washington Post and Iran, which is why I played the CNN one first and the Fox News ones later. You guys got real quiet about the Fox News one. There was only a couple of you who were anti-Semitic about Fox News, and the other one who said Fox News is fake. Good for you. But when it was CNN, it was CNN. See why there's difference? Because what they're now doing is trying to train your brain to think that all surveys, all polls are flawed.
So, but does that suggest the polls are wrong? Or does that suggest that the communication needs to shift around what's happening if you think the numbers are more reflective of something that's better?
Now, I wish I had the answer to that question, because that is a great question, which is, you're saying the survey is flawed. In what way? Is it how it's being done? Is it the sample size? Is it the questioning? What is wrong with it that you have an issue with? So let's move on to a different poll. This is MS Now. So now you guys can yell again. Liberals, we hate blah, blah, blah. This is MS Now talking about young Americans and how they feel in regards to the economy.
Young Americans say they are...
John, I'm paid opposition. I wish I was. Speaking of, guys, I'm going to do it again, because why the fuck not? Remember that it is July. We're getting to the end of July. If you have not paid your Antifa dues, I need you to pay those. We are not getting enough money raised to do the BLM bake sales that George Soros wants me to do. And remember, George Soros breathes down my neck every single day to make sure that we are doing these things to go after the right, because they're such victims, because they won the presidency, and they won the House of Representatives, and they won the Senate, and really with conservative ideology, they own the Supreme Court, and they're just such victims, and we need to feel bad for them, which is why George Soros breathes down my neck to make sure that we just keep going at them. So make sure that we are paying to do that. $1 train, $2 train, $5 train. I have $86.47 left of my goal. Cash App, Venmo, PayPal, on the link tree in my bio. Thank you for the reminder.
Hustling to survive.
I should be on Broadway. I wish, Dan. I am a theater kid at heart. Please, please, anybody with a connection.
As they navigate the rising cost of groceries and gas and housing, all while struggling to secure a well-paying job. One analysis from Deloitte found that 45% of Gen Z and 36% of millennials have a full or part-time gig just to help pay for their expenses. And about half of these young folks reported that they lived paycheck to paycheck, with 34% reporting struggling to afford their monthly living expenses.
So, young Americans are not doing well. That's an issue. We know that. And the Trump administration is not doing anything to solve it. What they are doing is still trying to blame Democrats, even though they are the ones in charge, and also at the same time saying everything's fine, which was the really big mistake that Joe Biden made in the last year and a half of his term. So, there is that. W's to Hector. Thank you, Hector, for the $5. I appreciate you. W's. I want to see W's to Hector in there. Paid opposition fund. Thank you so much. We all are a part of the same fund. It's just like this incestual pool of leftist content creators paying each other to be paid opposition. So W's to Hector for that, because apparently that's how we do it here. I wanted to point this out. This is not a metric. This is not a statistic, but this is unfortunately Senator Tim Scott. Okay, or Rick Scott. Sorry, Tim Scott's a different person. Rick Scott. I get them confused, and I don't know why. Rick Scott, the Skeletor from Florida who was involved with a company that was found to have participated in Medicaid fraud. And he was asked a question as a senator who only works about over 100 days a year, really? Because, by the way, they're about to go on break again. Don't know if you guys know that. They are about to go on break again. They have about this week, and then they're about to go on break up until September, so that's going to be fun for us. And he was asked, he was asked how many days should be the minimum of working a week. W's to Hector over on YouTube for the $5 super chat. Thank you so much. Said paid opposition fund ×2. Thank you so much. And also Stuart, thank you so much for the jewels. I appreciate you as well over there. Love that. Okay, so Rick Scott, how many days should be minimum to work? Says the man who only works 100 days.
So are Democrats going to come across the line and join some of you? And are they as clear-eyed on the mission?
I hope so. Americans work 5 days a week. The minimum we ought to work is 7 days a week. I'm a business guy. As business people have to work every day. We need to work every day to get this stuff done.
Okay. So he thinks that the Senate should work every day. So are you going to go on break or are you going to stay there? Are you going to call Mike Johnson and John Thune and make sure that they bring you back? Or no?
So are Democrats going to come across the line and join some of you? And are they as clear-eyed on the mission?
I hope so. Americans work 5 days a week. The minimum we ought to work is 7 days a week. I'm a business guy. As business people have to work every day. We need to work every day to get this stuff done.
I know he is. Yeah, I'll send it to you. So work 7 days a week. Who's stopping you? Also, yeah, when Jeff Bezos is on the yacht with those 20-something-year-olds that he shouldn't be fucking with, he's definitely working 7 days a week. Corporate people definitely work 7 days a week. Isn't that against Christian values? Yes, it is. But, they don't care about that. But when he was in corporate, when he was working for a company that admitted to Medicaid fraud, it was, yeah, sure. I'm going to do it now. I'm going to send it now because I'll forget. And Ari knows I'll forget. And so she knows why I have to send her these things right then and there. But apparently, minimum work week should be 7 days because the American people work 5, and yet they're getting ready to go on another break. So that's interesting. So here is Chris Wright. We are moving to the Secretary of Energy, Chris Wright. We saw him a little bit yesterday, and we're going to talk to him today about gasoline prices. Because again, as we said, it is being reported, and we have seen that gas has increased itself up to $4 a gallon again. But Chris Wright is going to do the thing. What do you guys think he's going to do? What do we think he's going to do? Any guesses from my community? Because we know MAGA is gone. So any guesses what he's going to do? Well, defrauding people never takes a day off, I guess. True. What's Chris Wright going to do when he's confronted with the fact he's going to work 8 days a week? Chris, he's going to blame Democrats. He's going to blame one Democrat in particular.
What about Biden? As well supplied as we can. Gasoline prices today are more than $1 a gallon cheaper than they were 4 years ago under the Biden administration. And we'll do everything as well supplied.
He picked 4 years ago for a specific reason. That specific reason is because it's the same year that you guys lived and died in. The same year that you guys lived and died in, which is 2022. So since we are stuck, perpetually stuck in 2022, the highest that it was at that point, okay? This was May 30th. I know it's going to be somewhere in June, though, but they're saying May. $4.04 a gallon. Yes, Ari, always. $4.04 a gallon, okay? And right now, it's $3.41. Now, he still lied, didn't he? He still lied because he said how much cheaper was it? Is it?
As well supplied as we can. Gasoline prices today are more than $1 a gallon cheaper than they were 4 years ago under the Biden administration.
$1 cheaper than they... I'm sorry. I know I'm not good at math, and my community knows that I'm not good at math, which is why they like to torture me with decimal points. I might not be that good at math, but I'm pretty sure that 402 is not $1 more than 341. And to be fair, yes, July, it would 4 years ago today, if we're going to be exact, would be July. Let's see if we can get as close as possible. Let's see here. 25th, I think. The 18th is going to be like closest I can get. So yeah, sure. It's actually higher. So what are we talking about? Why do you guys never fact check the things they tell you? This was so easy. It's one chart. It's one chart. And it fact checks the things that they say. You believe it when he says it. It's still $1 cheaper than it was when it was 4 years ago under Joe Biden. Well, 4 years ago under Joe Biden was July of 2022, when we were at about $2.76 a gallon. We are now at $3.40 a gallon. We have topped off in some places at $4 a gallon. But fine, if we want to be good faith, since you guys aren't good faith, I'll be good faith. And we can go back to a year and some change ago to May 30th, where it was at its highest point of $4.02 a gallon. It is still $3.41 a gallon. And if my math is correct, which is really difficult, you know what? Let's pull out the calculator, because as my community knows, I'm not good at math. Let's do 402 minus 341. That's 61 cents in differential, not $1. So Chris Wright lied to you in whatever way you would like to look at the chart. He lied. Why do you guys keep allowing him to do that? Why do you guys keep glazing his taint for doing so? W's to Erica Vixen once again. Huge W's, guys, to Erica Vixen over there on YouTube with the $10 super chat. Political offices like senator and representative should be turned into something akin to jury duty. It should be low paid and unappealing to the general public, as well as work 312 days per year. The only reason I would say no to the jury duty aspect of it is because of the fact that we wanted a representative democracy. So I would like people who want to be there. I want people who want to be there to be voted in by people who want them there, because they are meant to represent us. The last thing I want is people who don't want to be there at all, doing everything in their power to try to just get through it. I don't think that's necessarily going to be beneficial to us. But I can agree with a reformation of how our Congress is set up. I know there's been a lot of conversations. I don't have it on my outline today, but I know there's been a lot of conversations about the Senate. The Republicans are desperately trying to go back to the original iteration of the Constitution, where state legislatures chose the senators and not the actual people by way of voting. Obviously, the Democrats are against this. And then there is conversation about the fact that, let's say, Vermont gets 2 senators, the same as Texas gets 2 senators, even though you have the 2 senators in Texas covering such a wider range of population and compared to like the 2 in Vermont, right? Yes, that was changed with an amendment, Ari. So they'd have to have an amendment to change again. I don't know what they think that they're going to do. They can't even pass legislation, but they're going to get an amendment through, sure. I don't know if I agree, because the issue with that, I understand what they're saying, is that a senator covers such a broad swath of people, and it's representing, like, you know, maybe 10,000 people compared to a state with a lot smaller that's only representing 2,000 people. I understand that. The issue I have is, and I'm not saying I can't be swayed, but the issue that I have is that was meant to be solved with the House of Representatives. That was meant, I'm not saying it is, but that was meant to be solved with the House of Representatives. You get more representatives per the people that you have in your state. Not saying it's perfect. I'm saying there's things that can be done. they're not going to be able to change the amendment that changed from state legislature to voting. But, you know, it is an interesting concept to think about how Congress can be changed and how things can get done. All right. Moving on as we continue in this economy section, we're back to Peter Navarro / Ron Vara / Tom Riddle Voldemort talking about beef prices, because beef prices are still high. We're having an issue with beef. Not only were we having an issue in general with beef, but we had screwworm in the United States, which is something they've been fighting. Originally, they talked about it as if it was this, it wasn't happening at a high rate. Now it's obviously become an issue. That is here within the United States, an issue we are combating. So then to I guess, to deal with that, we were going to be importing beef from Argentina. The issue with that is that we had tariffs on everything. So then we had to remove tariffs or relax the tariffs on the beef coming in, which is not very America first to be importing beef, but here we are importing beef from Argentina, but we're still seeing an issue in way of supply and demand where the demand for beef is high and the supply is low. Anecdotal, which means you can just disregard it, but I am going to say it. We wanted to make, what did we make? Spaghetti. And we used ground beef in our spaghetti. We should have got ground turkey. I don't know what I was thinking because it's fucking cheaper. But we got ground beef. We got a 3-pound thing of ground beef, and it was $28. What the actual fuck? But it's okay. Peter Navarro has a plan. He's going to go after the cartels.
The trends are down. Which is not to say we don't have some issues. Beef has been kind of the holy grail of me trying to figure out the best ways to get it down. So we're cracking down on the cartels that run the beef processing, things like that. So just a lot of things going on there.
Got it.
We are cracking down on the cartels with the meat processing. Now, I'm trying to figure out if he's talking about the legitimate, because there are cartels that swing their influence in the global south in way of meat processing. So I don't know if he's speaking about Argentina specifically or Mexico specifically, or if he's talking about what is called the Big Four. We have a conglomerate, a monopoly of 4 companies that are in charge of meat packing and processing here in the United States. Now, I'm not sure which one he was talking about, if he meant cartel directly, but this was a release by the Trump administration. This is whitehouse.gov. I will show you. Whitehouse.gov in November of 2025. I can't stand you, Kayla. I'm going to show that in a minute. I can't stand y'all. I get bullied by my own community. I just want everybody to know. But this was released November 2025. It's just a news release, but it was kind of a plan, right? Not an EO, but a plan. Trump administration cracks down on foreign-owned meat packing cartels. Today, President Donald J. Trump directed the Department of Justice to launch an investigation into the nation's largest meat packing companies for potential collusion, price fixing, and price manipulation. Now, the fact that they say foreign-owned meat packing cartels, and now we're talking about ours, I'm confused. This decisive action targets the foreign-dominated conglomerates that control America's meat supply and have been accused of artificially inflating prices at the expense of farmers, ranchers, and working families. Oh, so it's both. Our conglomerates here are foreign, is what he's saying. So this was his truth. I have asked the DOJ to immediately begin an investigation into the meat packing companies who are driving up the price of beef through illicit collusion, price fixing, and price manipulation. I really hate when he does this. Why are we capitalizing these words? Anyway, we will always protect our American ranchers, and they are being blamed for what is being done by majority foreign-owned meat packers who artificially inflate price and jeopardize the security of our nation's food supply. Actions must be taken immediately to protect consumers, combat illegal monopolies, and ensure these corporations are not criminally profiting at the expenses of the American people. I'm asking the DOJ to act expeditiously. Thank you for your attention to this matter. So let's go through a little bit of this. We'll go through the Big Four. I'll skip this because then we get into what the actuality of what they're talking about in way of beef cartels is. The Big Four meat packers, JBS Brazil, Cargill, Tyson Foods, and National Beef, currently dominate 85% of the U.S. beef processing market from up from just 36% in 1980. 2 of these companies, including the largest meat packer in the world, are either foreign-owned or have significant foreign ownership and control. Okay, so we have JBS in Brazil. Now, I don't know a lot about beef. I don't know a lot about beef processing. Does anybody know? This is legitimately me asking, not being condescending. I'm legitimate asking. Does anybody know what the other company is? Because I thought Tyson Foods was in the United States. So is it Cargill? I thought Cargill was also in the United States. So is it National Beef? Is that the other one that is foreign owned or significant foreign ownership and control? Government interference in private markets, right? Arby's, they have the meats. They do have the meats, that's true. It's Arby's. Even Daniel said it. Lenati, you and somebody else in the YouTube chat said it as well. From open borders, we purposefully had an agreement to ship beef in from Argentina. You know that, right? You know that. Banana republics, if you know, you know. Right. I'm wondering. Okay, so let's look up. Who owns Cargill? That's American. I know. We're going to do it, though. Who owns Tyson Foods? It's the Tyson family. Tyson Foods, John H. Tyson. That's, yeah, so that's here. So then it's got to be National Beef then, right? Brazil. It's Brazil. Actually, it's not Argentina. Isn't that who we were getting beef from? Wait, I might have been saying the wrong country this whole time, which is totally fine. Trump admin plan to import beef. I'm just going to say that because then it'll give me... No, it was Argentina. I was right. It was Argentina. I was just double checking. It was Argentina. So apparently we were going after Brazil for their ownership. Okay. But again, 2 of the 4 biggest companies have foreign ownership and control. Industry consolidation has crushed competition and hammered cattle producers. In the 1980s, the top 4 packers purchased 1/3 of all fed cattle. By the mid-1990s, that share exploded to over 80% and has only grown more concentrated since. But it's fine for mergers in Paramount and you know, Warner Brothers, but not beef. That's not fine. Which I'm against both, to be fair. Hi, Mia.
Hi, I just wanted to point out that you trusted, but you verified. And I'm so proud of you because that's not what happens with your YouTube chat. So I just wanted to make sure that people understood what to do when there is a question. You go and you look it up and you find the answer. I am so proud of you by leading.
That's such a
You
normal
led by
action.
example. You lead by example. It's hot, you know.
I
love
didn't
when
even
a
think
woman
about it. I
takes
was like, have I been
charge.
saying the wrong country this whole time? You know what? Let's find out if I have. Let's go double check. Why is that so difficult for them?
I don't know. It's second nature for me. Be like, wait a second.
God.
But apparently Arby is an immigrant, so yo, more Arby's for me.
Yeah, since you guys don't want it, you can't have it. Remember, no more Taco Tuesdays for you. Bye, me. And then, so what the Trump administration did in a way to curb this, oh no, I already have it up, so I don't need to do it, is, which I would agree with. I would want to see how it breaks down in a way of application process and who gets approved. But what they proposed, okay, this was June 30th of 2026, Trump administration plans to pay smaller meat packers to keep slaughtering cattle, okay? So the Trump administration is prepping a financial lifeline for smaller meat packers struggling with dwindling cattle supplies, which have sent beef prices surging. The U.S. Agricultural Department plans to pledge up to $500 million in payments for small and medium-sized meat packing companies, according to people close to the discussions. The funds would be distributed to beef plants that keep their processing volumes at certain levels. Now, that's going to be the thing, because are they able to do it if they are small, right? The administration's aim is to provide a financial safety net for smaller slaughterhouses at a time when meat processors are losing an estimated $300 per head of cattle. The funding excludes the 4 largest beef processors in the U.S., Tyson Foods, JBS, Cargill, and National Beef, which is owned by Brazil-based MBRF Global Foods. Those companies together process roughly 85% of U.S. beef. The planned aid is the Trump administration's latest attempt to curb record-high beef prices. Trump has tasked top advisors with finding solutions, and the Justice Department launched a criminal probe into the largest U.S. meat packers. Now, a criminal probe, but we haven't seen anything. That's where I have an issue. I don't have any issue with proposed funding. I looked it up. The USDA is using a program called SPUR, and SPUR, the funds from SPUR are passed under some sort of legislative act. I don't know if I've seen where that was in the budget. That's the only connection I didn't find yet, is if Congress has actually passed it, right? But I have no problem with that, with supplementing smaller, right, more family-owned or smaller meat packers to be able to do this. However, the issue I have is that we are not going after punishing the big 4. We're just excluding them from these funds while they continue to rake in money and crush their competition. Yes, you're investigating them with the Department of Justice. I don't know what you expect to find. You would have to find email proof that they inflated the prices past the rate of inflation. You would have to prove a lot of those things. It's going to be tied up in the courts for a long time. So I don't see how you're crushing their ability to oppress the market. But does the administration show proof of a correlation between foreign ownership and higher prices? No, their claim based off of the whitehouse.gov, right? Based off of whitehouse.gov and their release of their crackdown. They are directing, okay, let's see. Illicit collusion, price fixing, and price manipulation. That's what their claim is. I don't know what that has to do with them being foreign, right? Because Cargill and Tyson Foods could also be price fixing. And doing price manipulation and not be foreign. So I don't know what that has to do with anything. And again, that's part of my issue. Why are you not going after the companies in and of itself instead of claiming about the foreign-owned ones? Just go after the companies in and of itself for price fixing, but you're not doing that. Oh, you know who wanted to do that? Kamala Harris. But let's look at beef prices. So they have come down a little bit from where they were, right? Here at our, excuse me, is this April? I need you to be smaller so I can see. Thank you. Here in April, we were at 367, right? At the highest point at about 367 for beef. And we're at 337 now. Not great, though. It's still not great. I wanted to see the, comparison to the big 2022 that we get. So the highest we got was in November of 2024. I'm not sure exactly what happened there to make it that high. But we haven't come down from that highest point very much, right? 6, 7. Haven't come down from that point very much. So there is an issue with beef still. Again, screwworm is something that the USDA can combat if they start to actually recognize that it's happening, which they are now starting to kind of do, instead of trying to ignore it. But in way of going after the actual companies, I'm not seeing where they're going after the actual companies. Sure, the DOJ is investigating. That could take years. That doesn't do anything for what's going on now in paying $28 for 3 pounds of beef. But anyway, back to Bessent with Bartiromo. Here talking about the macro outlook of the economy, because that's how they have to paint it. Well, from the far away, it's doing okay. Because people aren't feeling it. People are hurting.
Let's talk about the macro story. Secretary, this economy has been on fire, and now we see evidence that, in fact, inflation is going down. U.S. consumer prices declining in June for the first time in 6 years. You had the June CPI showing inflation at 3.5% month over month. Prices were down 0.4%, driven by a big decline in gasoline prices since 2022. You say inflation will keep coming down.
Ooh, hubbub, that's a great point. Let's see the stock positions of the executive branch chuds with these companies. Who owns stock in National Beef? Who owns stock in JBS? Who owns stocks in Cargill? And who owns stocks in Tyson Foods? That's a good question.
As AI stands to double productivity, how would you assess the macro story today, sir?
I would assess the macro story as being very healthy, because if we look, what gives me the great confidence is the underlying economy, the general.
Chris, it's not her microphone. It's just how she yells. I'm convinced it's just her. She yells on her own show, and I don't know what. What? Get the macro!
Trend of the economy is very strong, and importantly, on the other side, the core inflation number has not accelerated due to the short-term rise in energy prices. So we've got strong.
That's not true.
Underlying growth, core inflation under control, and that's a formula both for a great economy and for strong markets.
Sure, but what they're showing right here is people spending, and the issue is that we're seeing people not spending and people pulling from their 401ks for emergency funds. We are not seeing that being represented in the market by everyday people.
What would be your expectation for growth in the second half of the year, Secretary?
Yeah, I'm not going to give a guess, but I think that 3% is minimum, not unreasonable, and I think we can start coming back towards the Fed's target level. I think PCE inflation versus CPI inflation. PCE has some quirky things in it where, like the stock market goes up, and because of portfolio management costs, the costs are going up. I think those are going to be adjusted this year.
Yeah.
So I think inflation's under control. What the president and HHS, Bobby Kennedy, Dr. Oz have done on drug pricing is just fantastic. We're seeing the drug pricing down, and that affects all Americans.
Yeah, that's thanks to things like the infrastructure bill, the Inflation Reduction Act piece of capping prices that Donald Trump kept when he gutted the Inflation Reduction Act. So that's interesting. I wanted to move to, this is still economy, but this is Justin Wolfers. And he does a lot in way of economy and
You're absolutely right,
taxes.
Megan.
Sorry. I set it to like not play automatically because the sound was driving me crazy this morning, but now it's not playing automatically, so I have to click it. And he's going to talk to you about the whole no tax on, right? The big gimmick of his campaign, the no tax on tips, the no tax on overtime, and the no tax on Social Security that he keeps referencing. We've told you this over and over again, but maybe you'll listen to it if it comes from a white man. I don't know why that seems to work the way it does. But, sure.
You're absolutely right, Megan, to see that this is a theme. It's really a theme mostly for the stuff coming out of the One Big Beautiful Bill, otherwise known as the Trump budget, otherwise known as the one major piece of fiscal policy the administration got. You saw this in a whole bunch of other ways. The president went on the campaign trail and promised no tax on tips. It turns out you do tax tips. If you're in certain tip prevalent occupations, though, there'll be no tax on tips until the end of 2028. He talked about no tax on overtime. It turns out he does tax overtime. So if you work an extra 5 hours and you get time and a half, you'd be due to get 7.5 times your hourly wage. So it's only the extra half that's not taxable, only up to a limit.
He does sound like AI. But did you listen to that? Now, in way of no tax on tips, it's pretty much cut and dry what it is. They're not incorrect on that. But again, runs out at 2028 is going to be on Congress, and we are going to pay attention. You guys might not. But we are going to pay attention specifically on whether it gets extended and who votes to extend it and who doesn't. Just pay attention to that when those votes come up, because it's going to be interesting and it's going to tell you a lot about it being a gimmick for votes for the presidential election, but not so much care after the fact. So we will get into that. But I want you to listen again in regards to overtime.
It turns out you do tax tips. If you're in certain tip prevalent occupations, though, there'll be no tax on tips until the end of 2028. He talked about no tax on overtime. It turns out he does tax overtime. So if you work an extra 5 hours and you get time and a half, you'd be due to get 7.5 times your hourly wage. So it's only the extra half that's not taxable, only up to a limit, only for certain occupations. And guess what? That also runs out at the end of 2028.
Is that what he promised you? Oh, good, DJ Bookie. I'm glad you're back for your finger duties. Is that what he promised you? Did he promise you no tax on overtime, terms of service may apply? Did he do that? I don't remember him saying it was just going to be on the half, but that was just me. I don't remember that in the campaign trail. But you guys didn't read it, so you guys didn't care because you heard a talking point, and that's what you wanted.
Talked about no tax on Social Security. In fact, they still tax Social Security. They did something else in the tax code to help older people, but Social Security is still taxed.
He didn't even show any proof. He is what we call an economist. So he read the bill. Can you show me where in the bill he is incorrect? Because if we would like to correct a white man, I would love to do that. That's one of my favorite things to do on this show is to correct white men for their misinformation. So if you could find me the page, okay, in the over 300-page bill in regards to the One Big Beautiful Bill Act, because it's not called the Working Families Tax Cut Act. That's not anywhere in that bill. But in the One Big Beautiful Bill Act, if you could find me the page that actually cites that he is incorrect on his information, I would be fine with that. I would love to correct a white man. That would be great.
Hey, guess what? It runs out at the end of 2028. You know, there's one thing that didn't run out at the end of 2028. The other major part of the Trump budget was these populist parts. Then there was tax cuts for the rich. The tax cuts for the rich are permanent. So as it stands, if the next president and Congress don't.
So I think we always miss this big one in way of Social Security. Every single time. He lies to you every single day. Oh, hi, big, beautiful Bill. He lies to you every single time about not taxing Social Security. Yes, Ari, it is nice, maybe because we have to have a man say it.
Up to a limit, only for certain occupations. And guess what? That also runs out at the end of 2028. He talked about no tax on Social Security. In fact, they still tax Social Security. They did something else in the tax code to help older people, but Social Security is still taxed.
That's what you don't understand. They changed, okay, updated and changed a bit of the tax code in regards to elderly people who are on Social Security. But Social Security is still getting taxed. So every single time he gets on that stage and says no tax on Social Security, he's lying to you. Every single time.
Hey, guess what? It runs out at the end of 2020.
If there's no tax cuts, then how is it ending? Oh my God. It's not what I said. I said he lied to you about what it was, not that the tax cut didn't exist. Keep up. I didn't say the tax cut didn't exist. And I said, actually, no tax on tips is pretty cut and dry. What no tax on tips is pretty much what it is. No tax on overtime. He did not represent it to you in the way with which they did it, which is only not taxing your half time of your time and a half, right? But of your time, that's still getting taxed, just not the half. And again, only until 2028. I never said there was no tax cuts. I said the way with which he campaigned to you on them is incorrect. However, the tax cut they are talking about in way of Social Security, it's not no tax on Social Security. It is a separate tax addendum that they put in there. That again also sunsets in 2028.
You know, there's one.
The states can choose to tax it. Well, so I'm in Colorado, and Colorado, we actually are taxing your tips. So the One Big Beautiful Bill Act means not shit to the people here in Colorado because we're taxing your tips regardless. So that was a state policy that they put in place.
One thing that didn't run out at the end of 2028, the other major part of the Trump budget was these populist parts. Then there was tax cuts for the rich. The tax cuts for the rich are permanent. So as it stands, if the next president and Congress don't renew any of the gimmick populist giveaways, I think each of these are actually, by the way, bad policy for a whole range of reasons.
See, he doesn't even like it, and I would actually disagree with him. He does not like no tax on tips. He doesn't like no tax on overtime. He doesn't like those things. I would like to actually hear his view. I will probably try to look up later today. Actually, let me write it down because I'll forget. I would like to hear his reasonings because there are reasonings that you could play into why you wouldn't like things on no tax on tips and no tax on overtime. We talked about them, right? There are ways with which corporate shills can use no tax on tips and give themselves tips and then not tax them. And so there could be bad things. I don't know if that's his reasoning. So I want to look that up. Let's see on why. Sorry. This is my research for later. Why no tax is bad. I'm just writing it in parentheses so that I know that he's talking about those policies in particular. But, well, yeah, and from an economic standpoint, it's not feasible to maintain long term. But that's the point. So what he's saying is correct. It was a populist gimmick to get you to vote for them, but they don't actually care. But the tax cuts for the rich, which, by the way, are also really not feasible long term. I don't know how they think they're going to be able to fund the government if we continue these permanent tax cuts, but the tax cuts for the rich, which are permanent, you see how they used it to get you to vote for them, but I guarantee you they're not going to vote to extend them. They're not going to do it. So I'm going to let him repeat his last bit. And then
You know, there's one thing that didn't run out at the end of 2028. The other major part of the Trump budget was these populist parts. Then there was tax cuts for the rich. The tax cuts for the rich are permanent. So as it stands, if the next president and Congress don't renew any of the gimmick populist giveaways, I think each of these are actually, by the way, bad policy for a whole range of reasons, discussion for another day, then they are literally just going to disappear. That's
right. And again, that's all I'm saying is keep watch, right? Because when 2028 rolls around, it is going to be time to decide whether to extend these policies or not. And you'll get to see who votes and how and why. And that could be on both sides. Two wings of the same bird and all that. Two girls in one cup. So this is Representative Brandon Gill. This is kind of a pivot, but I felt like it was kind of economy adjacent, to be honest. Representative Brandon Gill. I didn't start this. To be fair, the deacon started this. So you're coming after. Yeah, see how he laughs? That was him. He came up with that on his very own. Go after the deacon, not me. Anyway, Representative Brandon Gill, who drives me absolutely up the wall because I don't really like him and his Republican self, but he went on with Benny Johnson, and they kind of advocate for this American dream propaganda during the World Cup, right? That you have all these countries coming in and seeing, okay, all the wonderful things that America can offer them. And I just thought it was interesting from an economic and immigration standpoint. I have not shown your art yet. I'm going to get through this economy section, I think, and then I'll show it, Kayla. It is just interesting to me to sit here and promote the wonders of America and then also at the same time be like, we've shown it to the world now. I don't want them to come here. Like, it's just interesting to me.
I'm not a soccer fan, but I've been thrilled at the propaganda victories for us and our country during this World Cup.
Okay.
Maybe just like cap it all off for us. Texas has been a huge part of those propaganda victories.
Yeah, it has. And, you know, it's one thing whenever you live in America, especially if you grow up in America, it's really easy to get used to the level of affluence that we take for granted every day.
Okay. We take for granted the privilege that we have in this country. Okay.
That we drive in massive pickup trucks or SUVs everywhere we go that guzzle gas, that we go to a supermarket and it's filled with, 5,000 different types of cheeses on one aisle, and then 600 different types of milk that you can buy on the next aisle. And you have this unbelievable variety of things that you can buy that's just normal for us.
I can tell I'm not.
Thank you for giving us an advertisement for why people from other countries want to come here. Thanks. Thanks for that. Duh. We knew that. And then you yell and scream about... Benny Johnson just glazed the propaganda campaign about the World Cup, saying that during the World Cup, our propaganda campaign on the U.S. was better than ever. And then sits there and complains when those same countries have people who want to come here because of the advertisement that we won during the propaganda campaign that we did that was good during the World Cup. Which fucking one is it? One sec. Are you there? Are you coming up? Are you saying something? What? Sure. While you do that, let me get rid of this video. And while you do that, I will bring this up real quick. W's, let me make sure that there's nothing on here that doesn't want to be seen. W's to Patrick. You said keep Adam money. Now I have to go to my email because I lost the thing. For the W Patrick for the 1380 for get Adam money. I appreciate you so much. It's fine, Audie. I have to do math now. So there's that. Oh, I see what you're doing. Very nice. W Patrick for 6767. Thank you so much, Patrick. W's to Patrick, please. Hi.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Long walk down a hallway.
Run outside.
Yeah, it's like run. Also, I had to switch devices because I don't wind. Sorry, there is a legitimate named tropical storm off the coast of Florida.
Yeah,
so
there is. This is true.
Give it the wind. Forgive the wind sound. And it's actually, we're getting the bans officially tomorrow. So yeah.
Oof.
Hi, Hector. Brandon Gill is the one who I'm always seeing ads from that say, I want this country to be one that my kids can recognize when they grow up.
And yet you're promoting it. You're right. But you're promoting it at the World Cup.
Yeah, it's like, I'm so happy about the World Cup, guys, but I want this country to be one that my kids can recognize. Like, oh my god. I actually want to go find that real quick. Hold on. It'll take 2 seconds on X. That's the crazy part.
Yeah, no, it's fucking easy to find now. Everything is so easy to find. And the internet's forever. Just remember that. Except for the policies from ICE on training on administrative warrants versus judicial warrants. For some reason, the internet is not forever in regards to that, because when they took that training off, I have not been able to find it. To be fair, I haven't tried the Wayback Machine, but I don't really know how the Wayback Machine works. So, but it did exist on their website, and now it's gone.
The Wayback Machine isn't always user friendly.
Yeah. W's to Surgeon. Thank you, Surgeon, for the gifted sub to Smurf Finserter. I hope I said that correctly. W's, thank you so much. And also W's to Phantom. I hope you're still in here, Phantom, for the resubscription for 1 month at Tier 1. Thank you so much for the the gifted sub and for resubscribing over on Twitch. I appreciate you guys. Thank you. You just looked something up. So then I showed this yesterday. I showed it yesterday. It seemed to make them mad, but it was fine. The U.S. labor market may soon face a new crisis. Too few workers. Who could have seen that coming, I wonder? Was it us? It could have been us. Saw that happening. Even as many workers are fearful that artificial intelligence could endanger their jobs, there's a potentially bigger employment crisis on the horizon, a severe labor shortage that is set to emerge over the next 10 to 15 years, according to a leading demographer. Now, again, as pointed out by the op that we saw, this is Stephen Ruggles, a professor of history and population studies at the University of Minnesota. Now, that is one person, one study. I would like to see corroboration. Of course, I would like to see corroboration, but we are seeing that there is an issue, and we have talked about this for a long time, that we just do not have the numbers to be able to fill jobs in this country. We just do not. Venezuela had a movement, a shifting of the earth. Who said that? Trump?
I didn't realize that Brandon Gill also has an Indian American wife, like JD Vance. Ooh, pretty.
Why are they? I can't stand these people. The call is coming from inside the house. The call is coming from the south. Trump said that in regards to the earthquake. That's insane. I saw his whole, they're celebrating other than the earthquake. I saw that. So this is net entries into the labor force by decade. This is Julia Ingram, CBS News. The source is Stephen Ruggles, director of IPUM's Center for Data Integration. So this is the data they are getting. But net entries into the labor force by decade, right? We saw, obviously, a huge boom in the 60s and 70s. And then we start slowly kind of going down. We pick back up again in the 2010s. In the 2000s, it goes down in the 2010s, most likely because of things like the housing crisis. And then 2020s and 2030, we're looking at negative, which is bad. Let's see, expand you. You can call me any name you want. I just want my children to grow up in a country that they recognize. Every parent and grandparent needs to read this. Whose goddamn white baby is that? Are his children really, really white? Now I gotta look up Brandon Gill and wife. Let's see what their wife looks like. Oh yeah, that's why. But,
I just don't know how the kids came out blonde.
They're not I don't really like looking just trying to see it better. I mean, recessive genes. I don't show my children, but as we know, why am I way down there? My children, for those who have seen my children, they do not look like me.
That too. Okay, well, drop me down. It should fix your setup on TikTok. Anyways, the wind's picking up and it started to rain, and I gotta go back inside.
That didn't fix me. What did I do? What did I do? How did I even do that? All I did was shrink you. Okay, what I'm gonna do. Hold on. Okay, expand that. Okay. Did I expand myself? Does that fix? Nope, that doesn't fix it either. What did I do? How did I do that? Here, I can... No, because it's right on my OBS. It's just wrong on TikTok. It's just glitching. Whatever. You guys have to watch me like this. I'm sorry. I'm here. I promise. No, I should be able to... Hold on. I should be able to fix it. A little bit, kind of. Because I can move this shit. I just have to move all my things now. And I'll have to move him back tomorrow. It's fine. Okay. Why are you so big, though? You're never that big. Said every woman to her husband ever. Sorry. I'm not being nice today. Okay. It's fixed, kind of. That's what she... You all did it, too. I hate all of you. Okay, back to this. So the labor force is set to shrink by 2.7 million workers, or 1.3%, from 2030 to 2040, according to Ruggles' analysis. Again, this is his analysis of U.S. Census Bureau data, and it's always off. It's not off center on mine. Okay. Oh no. According to Ruggles' analysis of U.S. Census Bureau data and population growth projections from the Congressional Budget Office, that will come after the labor force grows by just 9.1 million people from 2020 to 2030, marking the smallest number of net entrants into the workforce since the 1960s. Some people think AI is going to take away all the jobs, but there are going to be few people who are searching for jobs relative to the size of the economy. An average of 10,000 boomers a day are turning 65 from 2011 through 2029, according to census data. In 2025, a record 4.18 million Americans, or more than 11,400 people per day, turn 65. Baby boomers are quickly leaving the scene, and there aren't many young people. Now, this is why I would want to see cooperation. Do you see? You see, if maybe we could actually come to consensus, this is why I would want to see corroboration, because what we are seeing is, although people are turning 65, I don't know where he's getting the analysis that says they're leaving, because as we know, they're trying to raise the retirement age. They haven't, but they're trying to raise it again. And a lot of people, even if you are 65 and can retire, don't have the savings or funds to do so, and so they are still working. Fewer workers, higher wages. Those dynamics could boost workers' prospects, helping them secure better wage growth and labor conditions, he said. The less competition workers have, the better their earning prospects are, Ruggles explained. This is likely to lead to rising wages for young people. Stronger. This is, again, just his thought, his prediction. Likely to lead to rising wages for young people, stronger unions, and lower inequality. For the few people entering the labor force, there is going to be an outstanding economic opportunity. They are going to do very well. With fewer people in the workforce, AI could end up as a necessary support for the economy. AI is likely to help mitigate the impact of demographic changes on the labor market without harming workers, Ruggles says. He claims. Is Ruggles invested in AI, would be my question. AI may help firms boost productivity, allowing them to reap profits with which they'll be able to compensate the relatively few young workers they employ. They'll be able to does not say that they will, right? As we know with capitalism, that's not necessarily the case. With that high productivity, firms will have a lot of money to pay them with. Doesn't mean that they will. They just take bonuses, okay? According to him. So, again, take it with a grain of salt for what you will. However, we have seen corroboration about having too few workers in the industry, not necessarily in way of AI. Okay, still economy, but kind of a change in pace. Donald Trump was talking about the smoke that we are getting, and yes, we are getting a shit ton of smoke. I'm not trying to say that we are not. We are not here in Colorado because of Canada. We have our own fires to tend with here in Colorado. We are on fire. Love that for us. I know that in the Northeast states and in the northern states that there is a lot going on in regards to smoke from Canada. Donald Trump has a solution. And it's totally to help them. It's absolutely to help them. And we'll get into that in a minute. But actually, in between this, because this is still economy and it's taking 500 years to do so, I am going to open this in a browser, and just so I can show you all what Kayla made me for when I do math, which I'm going to have to do. Thank you, Kayla. This is, what did you call it? Just Monty Clues. This is just Monty Clues for when I do math, which, speaking of, I have to do math. Thank you so much to Oh Me Oh My. Holy crap, Oh Me Oh My. W's to Oh Me Oh My for the 4267. You said after Charlie Kirk, JD was saying he hopes Usha converts to Christianity. It was pretty weird. And she's, well, and what's funny is, Surgeon, Oh Me Oh My, I'm guessing you saw the interview they did about faith, right? Where she said, and he believes what he believes, and I believe what I believe, right? Like, she was like, yeah, good luck, buddy. I'm not converting. I'm not converting my religion. So, she also hates her husband. So there is that. So W's, thank you so much to Oh Me Oh My for now me having to do my math. Mm-hmm. That makes sense. That's math. Thank you so much. That brings us down to $25, guys, with about an hour and a half to go. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. That is my. I have to turn that into a sticker now, don't I? Guess what I'm gonna be doing? Love that for me. Okay. And we continue. So Donald Trump has a solution, and it is totally to, without any ounce of selfishness or grift, to help Canada. Oh, no, it's not.
Did you have a conversation with Carney from Canada today?
I did, yeah, I did.
How did that go?
Well, it went good, but I told him, I mean, you got to stop these fires from coming in and, poisoning our air. Our air has been poisoned. I have a good relationship with Mark Carney, but we got to stop the fires up there. If we can help them, we'll help them. But maybe they should pay us some damages or something, or we should do some tariffs. But it was terrible. I mean, you had businesses closing. In particular, Michigan. If you look at Detroit, Michigan area, they had to close everything. They had to close car plants and a lot of other things.
Now, I don't know if that's true. I have not seen reporting on that, so I'm legitimately asking if somebody has a source on places closing in Michigan. I know that there were reports, or what are they called? They're not reports. There's warnings. We get them in Colorado, right? Where it's stay inside warning, or a smog warning, or whatever. Did they actually have schools and schools would be closed because it's summer. Did they actually have air quality alerts? Thank you, Peabody. You know my words, don't word. Air quality alerts. Were there any that closed plants, or the corporations decided to close plants because of the quality? Some outdoor concerts were canceled. That would make sense. As someone from Michigan, nothing is closed. Warnings, yes. No closing. Okay. And outdoor concerts being closed would make sense, whether it was from the venue's perspective or the city's perspective to close it. That would make sense for the health of people. But again, I just want to fact check the things he said. So I was just asking because maybe I've missed it. Not an avalanche warning, DJ. We do get those too.
I mean, you had businesses closing. In particular, Michigan. If you look at Detroit, Michigan area, they had to close everything. They had to close car plants and a lot of other things. So I've never remembered this happening. Over the last 4 or 5 years, you saw it starting to take place. I've never remembered it happening before.
He doesn't remember fire damage happening. Well, yeah. Thank you for promoting the fact that we know that fires are happening more frequently and with a bigger strength than they have happened in the past. Thank you so much for being such a climate advocate, Donald Trump rake the forest. But, when Canada helps us with our fires, and they do help us with our fires, apparently our decision is going to be to tariff them instead. That's going to be the great solution to be able to help Canada with their fires. Here's ABC reporting on that.
President Trump imposing and announcing new 50% tariffs on a wide range of Canadian goods, including everything from clothing and hockey sticks to dairy products and wine. The president now reigniting his trade war with one of America's largest trading partners. Now, the White House says these are meant as punishment in response to Canada's retaliatory tariffs on American products like cars and alcohol. A senior administration official saying this is meant to hold Canada accountable. So these tit-for-tat tariffs continue, but these new Trump tariffs won't go into effect for another 30 days. And Rebecca, they are likely to face legal challenges.
Yes, they are. And then she pivots to the Qatari jet, and I don't know why they included that in the same video. But they're claiming that this is retaliatory not only for the fires, but because of tariffs that Canada imposed and bans that Canada imposed on American liquor. Now, the issue is that why did they issue those bans on American liquor? Could it be because of the tariffs he initially did on Liberation Day? Could it be that? Maybe that it was those. Yeah, and also 30 days for him to talk about Robbie. I'm going to get to exactly what you put in the chat in just a minute. First, we're going to get to Jamieson Greer, who is another one who is a U.S. trade representative, talking about, again, that this is retaliatory.
Ambassador, could you just clarify how you think our relationship with Canada stands right now, particularly with the USMCA, with that not being renewed for 16 years? Where would you say the state of things are between the two nations right now?
Well, first of all, one thing to remember is we have always had trade issues with Canada. It's always been the most contentious part of our relationship across decades, whether it's with softwood lumber or, 20, 30 years ago with trade in grains and pork across the borders. So it's not new to have trade tensions with Canada. I would say going forward, I'm going to keep talking to my counterparts in Canada. The Prime Minister put out a letter yesterday responding to the President's action. His letter was firm but moderate in tone, so they haven't cut off talks. So we're going to keep discussing with them. The reality is we want outcomes that are good for American workers and American businesses, and we're going to pursue those. Sometimes you have to take trade action to incentivize those actions, and sometimes you take an action that leads to a better negotiation in the end. We will see where it leads.
And yet it's been longer than a year and a half, and we have not had better negotiations with Canada at all. By the way, what he's imposing, like they said, is a 50% tariff on very specific goods. I did see somebody in another community's chat, and in case they're in here or listening or they hear eventually, I just want to be clear because somebody posted the story about him issuing the 50% tariffs and saying, I thought that the Supreme Court ruled his tariffs illegal. Let's be very, very clear. He's using a section. Actually, I probably have it written down somewhere. God knows where. But he's not using IEEPA. That was the crutch of that case. The crutch of that case was IEEPA specifically in way of doing those tariffs. He's using a different section. I'm legitimately trying to see if I can fucking find it. Because I know I fucking wrote it down. Because we watched his speech when he did it. That's the judicial review. Parliamentary procedure. No. Legitimately trying to find it. I can't remember the section. Somebody posted it this morning on Twitter, and now I can't remember what it was. I'm not going to be able to find it now. I'm just trying to be accountable. No, if anybody has section, thank you. Thank you. Audrey had it. Section 122. So I just want to be clear, it's not IEEPA. So it's not the same tariff. So he's using a different tariff structure. Doesn't mean, as ABC put it, doesn't mean that they, yes, crux. I meant crux. Doesn't mean that they're not going to be in court. And it takes 30 days to roll those out. It's going to end up in court. So here's Bessent on Bartiromo. Once again, talking about how this is reciprocity without any context to the history of what happened with tariffs in this country and how they were used.
Of course, this week is a big week for tariffs because Section 122 tariffs expire.
I should have just played the next clip. She said it. I hate it. I hate it here. I was just trying to be accountable. I'm just trying to be a good content creator. I'm just trying to make sure that my community has the right information and that they know which section was used. I quit today. I quit. I should have just played the next video. I'm not trying to be accountable. Leave me alone. God.
Of course, this week is a big week for tariffs because Section 122 tariffs expire, Section 301 tariffs to be implemented, and the president is poised to unleash new tariffs, fresh tariffs, on dozens of countries soon as this week, we're told, as the president has imposed a 50% tariffs on some Canadian goods, including cars, alcohol, and dairy products. What is the trade discrimination that is at hand causing the president to hike tariffs here on Canada?
Well, I think it's something that we've discussed with our Canadian colleagues for a long time, and they haven't done anything about it. You know, they're highly discriminatory on dairy products. U.S. Alcohol and beverages have been removed from Canadian shelves.
Okay, the first one on dairy. Now, that was part of the reason why we did the initial tariffs on Canada in the first place, was because they have a tariff on dairy. Now, when we talked about this and this is when I was just starting. Audrey will remember, my numbers were very low. I was still doing this on my telephone. Excuse me. The Canadian tariff on U.S. dairy hadn't been triggered, like ever. So you are allowed to import a certain amount of dairy from the United States into Canada. And then after that fact, you have to pay a tariff on it. Again, the companies within Canada would have to pay that cost if they import dairy over a certain amount from the United States. Why? Because they're trying to protect their dairy industry. That is what we call a targeted tariff and not a blanket tariff. Now, that excuse was used to do a blanket tariff. Now, Bessent said, what specifically about alcohol?
U.S. alcohol and beverages have been
Yes,
removed
that's
from Canadian shelves.
Now, why? Can anyone tell me why American alcohol and beverages has been removed from Canadian shelves? Can anybody tell me? Well, also that, Kevin, you said nobody in Canada wants American milk products. That's true. Canadian dairy, they have a lot more regulation and stipulation on their dairy than we do. Yes, purple mustaches and, of course, Ari. Boycott and tariff war. Once he started that tariff war with his tariffs on Canada and Mexico specifically, and then with Liberation Day, they decided they were going to boycott our goods and just no longer carry American liquor and beverages on the shelves. So to sit here and act as if this is now us going against something they started is bullshit. They are lying to you once again. They are lying to you once again by trying to say, well, they banned our liquor. And for you to go, yeah, tariff them. And we're like, oh no, we tariffed them first and then they banned our liquor and now we're going to tariff them again. Okay. Glad we got there.
So, this is really just
No, ADHD everything. Who pays for a tariff? If we put a tariff on Canada, who pays for that?
reciprocity in terms of what they've done to our great U.S. companies.
Secretary, this is Forrest.
It's not reciprocity. It's not, because that was their reciprocity to the tariff war you started with them. So no, that is incorrect. So we're charging them a 50% tariff because we feel that we should be paid because of the damages from smoke. Thank you, Ariel. We'll definitely read into that later. And now that it's set there, I probably won't forget. Hopefully, we'll see. I just want to be clear. They've asked the leaders in Canada if smoke from our fires would ever give them a second's pause in sending help and sending aid. And they said no, absolutely not. Wouldn't give them a second's pause. We would continue to help. And they do. So to sit here and charge them for the smoke instead of offering to fucking help them is insanity to me. And I say that as somebody who lives in a state currently on fire that is currently being helped by people. We have had people from fucking Mexico come up to help us here in Colorado and California. We have had people from Canada. And you know how I fucking know? Because here is my local goddamn news. Okay? This is my local news. Let me see if I can find it now. Now the fucking thing doesn't want to come up. This is a Canadian who died fighting our fires here in the United States. I will show you. This is from July 20th, yesterday of 2026. Fucking yesterday. Procession honors fallen Gold Mountain Fire pilot on route from Montrose to Denver Airport. A procession traveling across Colorado honored Nicholas Dale, the helicopter pilot killed last week while fighting the Gold Mountain Fire as his body makes its way home to Canada. The procession departed Crippen Funeral Home in Montrose at 7 a.m. Monday, traveling eastbound on Interstate 70 before reaching Denver International Airport. Hundreds of firefighters and community members lined the roadside on overpasses and exit ramps to pay their respects. Dale, 56 of Sauk, British Columbia, died July 12th when his helicopter crashed into Silverjack Reservoir while fighting the Gold Mountain Fire near Ouray. I never pronounce it right. Ouray. I don't know how they pronounce it down there. He was the sole occupant of the aircraft. We're all family at the end of the day and we support each other, said Josh Boyles, the chief of Genesee Fire Rescue in Jefferson County. I'm hoping that everybody sees us passing through here and recognizes that there's a small group of people out there willing to risk their lives. On the overpass near Genesee, firefighters from Genesee and Evergreen Fire raised a large flag using fire trucks and stood at attention as procession passed by on the interstate underneath. Ouray. Thank you. Ouray. But we're going to charge them. We're going to attempt to, which isn't even how that works, right? That's not even how that works. That is U.S. corporations paying 50% tariffs on hockey sticks. It's not even a charge on Canada. But it is an insult and a spit in the face to Canada, who sends their firefighters here to fight and die for us. But, what about our water planes? We're not going to send those? We're not going to send them? No. The states might choose to. We have one in Colorado that we tend to send around. Hopefully that we do. But it's hard because we're fighting our own fires. So it would be nice if the federal government pulled their head out of their corrupt, grifting asses and actually helped Canada with their fires too, since they help us with ours. But, whatever. wild pivot, but last bit that I have for the economy. This is Representative McGovern, and he gives a speech on Trump's proposed policy that we have here, and just proving and showing that the policy he's proposed is bullshit, and it's not beneficial for the American people. And so I wanted to play that before we finish with the economy section. How do I do that every single time? I don't even know how I do that. I lost all my windows. Sorry, fixing this. I don't even know what I'm clicking to make that happen. I really don't. Okay.
A budget proposal that includes $73 billion for Donald Trump's new never-ending war in Iran that Congress already voted to end, a $12 billion Band-Aid for farmers who are hurting, which I would say is a pretty big admission that Trump's tariff policies have devastated American farmers, and of course, $10 billion to indulge the president's insane election conspiracy theories. I don't know how many of you watched his speech last Thursday, but it was both wacky and scary. Wacky because it was one conspiracy theory after another. Scary because this guy's actually sitting in the Oval Office. Together, this budget framework outlines nearly $100 billion, that's billion with a B, in funding with zero pay-fors. Even Republicans know this thing is a dud. One Republican said, and I quote, $95 billion in new deficit spending, no offsets, and not one provision to lower the cost of living, end quote. Other Republican members have called it, quote, dead on arrival. There's also a continuing resolution to keep the government open. The funding deadline is months away, and Republicans are already admitting they cannot finish their work. Instead, they're trying to punt our work until December 4th.
We're going to have another shutdown. That's what's going to happen. It's going to be real fun for all of us. But again, if the policies were doing so well, why do they need bailouts for the farmers? Why do we need to put a Band-Aid on them? Kind of shows that those tariffs aren't working out, right? If we have to save the industry again, this isn't the first time Donald Trump has had to do a bailout package for the farmers. So, love that. Okay. Where do I want to put this? Let's see. No, because that's a good place to start. So we'll do here, and then I'll move up there, maybe. All right. So I have a couple clips in way of festivals, seeing as Representative McGovern brought it up. Let's go to Representative Neguse here from Colorado. He represents mostly Boulder, but he is from Colorado here, and he is talking to Representative Steele. I apologize if I mispronounce it, but it's Steil. And he is a representative from Wisconsin who previously had come out and said that Wisconsin's standard for registering to vote was they will tell you the term he used. I don't want to say gold standard, but it was something to like a good standard, right? Like the way that Wisconsin runs their elections and how they register is good. It's a good standard to follow. And yet here he is advocating for the Save America Act, and Neguse really, really calls him out on it. You cannot both say that everything in Wisconsin is great so that your constituents are like, yeah, our standard is fine. Our standard's great. And he's like, yeah, no, you're right. The standard's great. And also be like, our standard's really, really bad. So Neguse kind of catches him on the double-edged sword of trying to say that your state's regulations are good, but they're completely different from what the Save America Act is going to require. And he gets him on it really good.
There are plenty.
Before we start this, and while we were sitting here, guys, I did not praise you, and I apologize. That's naughty of me. I did not praise you for hitting over 100,000 likes. Thank you guys so much. I know that our audience is a little bit smaller than it usually is. Excuse me. And don't know what's going on with that. Could just be the algorithm fucking up, but it's okay. But thank you for the people who are in here for working your fingers to the bone tapping. I appreciate it. You have hit 120,000 likes now. Bad money. I'm sorry. But thank you guys so much for hitting that. Were you having an attitude, DJ Bookie? Do you know what happens when you have an attitude? You're not allowed to have an attitude with me, and you know that. And I don't know why you would speak to me that way. You know better than that. And so I must lock you away now and bend you over the sofa because apparently you know that you're not supposed to throw attitude with me. Don't be a brat. Don't be a brat. W's to you guys, though, for 120,000 likes. I appreciate it, guys. Keep working on that and tapping. I appreciate it so, so very much. I need a Dami Mani sticker, too. Because apparently I shock people when I do these things. And we also have 25 left in the goal. Let's work on getting that down. A $1 train, $2 train, and we can get that accomplished today. I appreciate it. For the 69 of you over on YouTube, if you could hit that thumbs up button for me if you have not already, I would appreciate it as we watch Nagoose roast this guy, pretty much. Holy crap, huge W's. Thank you, Erica Vixen, huge W's for the $20 super chat. Remember, people, Trump endorses a polygamous incest cult known as the Kingston Group, aka the Order, an offshoot of the LDS Church similar to the FLDS. This group uses forced child labor and continually defrauds the U.S. government. I'm going to have to look into that. Thank you, Erica. Appreciate that.
There are plenty of constituents of yours at a variety of different colleges and universities that you represent that right now...
God damn it, why do you guys do this? I do love a good get ready with me. Hoseby, how much makeup do you wear? Is that all you got? Queer. I am queer, so thank you for that. Love recognizing of my identity. Thank you so much. I don't wear a lot, actually. So what I do, let's do a quick get ready with me and then we'll move on. I promise I'll be serious. But I do my eyebrow first. I use the Anastasia Beverly Hills Duo Brow Powder, and I use a brush and I put those on. And then what I do is I have a little... it's not, I guess you could call it full coverage. It's a little bit more liquid for my taste. I prefer a more matte formula, but I do foundation over that. And then what I do is I use a little bit of this kind of purpley brown in here in the corners of my eyes. And then I do a glitter that I put on with my, my finger. Then I take a brush and I use that same color glitter and I put it here in the inner corners so that it comes down farther and dramatically the way that it should. I use a little bit of eye pencil to try and get in there what I can. I have trichotillomania, so it is really difficult for eyeliner to stick to my eyes because I don't have eyelashes for it to stick to. If you don't know what trichotillomania is, you can look it up. I pull out my eyelashes. It is related to OCD. I then use liquid eyeliner to create the lines on my eyes. They tend to be cousins or sisters and not twins, which happens. This one usually tends to go up while this one goes out. It's just the way that it works, but it tends to look good on camera, so I'm okay with that. Then I use a little bit of face powder to cover and a little bit of bronzer powder, and then I'm done. That's it. That's all. Congratulations. You have now learned my routine. It's actually pretty simple. When the men find out we can shapeshift, they're going to tell the church. Okay.
Of yours at a variety of different colleges and universities that you represent that right now comply with what has been described by others as the most strict voter ID law in the country by using their college ID, but their congressman is championing a bill that would tell them that they no longer can do that. I don't understand that.
Sure, great question. Universities across the country, including in my home state, issue IDs to non-citizens, issue IDs to illegal immigrants, as many states do, many of them blue states.
Now, I don't know why he said that. Wisconsin, I looked this up. Wisconsin does issue driver's licenses to non-citizens because they would have legal status. Non-citizens do have legal status, and you would do that. Why? For insurance, so that you don't have a bunch of people hitting each other bumper to bumper and not being able to exchange insurance that they don't have. So that's a reason why they do issue those driver's licenses. He says that Wisconsin issues driver's licenses to illegal immigrants. That I have not been able to find. I do not see that per anything in way of Wisconsin, but he did say that. Now, in way of blue states allowing it, yes, again, for insurance purposes.
State next to me, the state of Illinois, issues driver's licenses, for example, to non-citizens and including illegal immigrants. And so this is a standard to say, how do we make sure that we're protecting the integrity of our elections? And we believe the best way to do that is through the forms of ID as listed in the bill.
So the Wisconsin standard really isn't the reasonable. I think the word you used was reasonably good standard.
Yes.
That doesn't sound like. It sounds like.
I don't think it's. I don't think the standard to get a student ID is nearly as sufficient.
No. I didn't ask you that. I said the Wisconsin law.
Right.
That 62% of the voters of Wisconsin a year and a half ago decided they'd put in the state constitution that you 5 minutes ago described as a reasonably fair standard.
That's what it was. So 62% of the voters in Wisconsin decided to take their voter registration laws and enshrine them in the Constitution. And then he, in this same committee hearing, said that it is a reasonably fair standard, is now going back on that to promote the Save America Act. Why? Because he has to glaze Trump's taint.
To get a student ID is nearly as sufficient.
No, I didn't ask you that. I said the Wisconsin law. That 62% of the voters of Wisconsin a year and a half ago decided they'd put in the state constitution that you 5 minutes ago described as a reasonably fair standard, apparently did not meet
Well, it's definitely
the muster here at the federal level.
Well, sure. The Wisconsin standard is way better than a lot of other states. I mean, a lot of states have nothing. In the state of Minnesota, next to my home state, you can vouch for 8 people. I think that's disastrous.
Why not emulate?
Because I don't want to look anything like Minnesota.
No, Wisconsin. I'm saying, why didn't you?
Now, I wanted to fact check that. Does Minnesota allow you to vouch for 8 people voting in their voter registration? How does vouching work in Minnesota elections? Let's read this. Because I want to know. I'm not saying it's not happening. I legitimately want to know because that's how we fact check here. So this is from some sort of local news agency in Minnesota. The U.S. Department of Justice is asking Minnesota's top election officials for records. They lost that case. It's provisional ballot. Oh, well, yeah. So then they're gonna match it. They're gonna match it with documents pertaining to votes accepted through vouching of particular interest. The Department of Justice is particularly concerned with votes and registrations accepted on the basis of vouching from other registered voters or residential facility employees, which is going to be the elderly. It's going to be the elderly. Vouching, as explained by the Minnesota Secretary of State's office, is when a registered voter from your precinct can go with you to the polling place to sign an oath confirming your address. The explanation goes on to read, a registered voter can vouch for up to 8 voters. You cannot vouch for others if someone vouched for you. So what that's going to be is people who work in goddamn elderly care facilities or in care facilities that are not just for the elderly, but for adults, for adults. I was going to say children, but they can't vote. Duh. Yeah, it's an affidavit of register. Okay. Yeah. Residency. Vouching also applies to eligible voters in a residential facility. According to state statutes, an employee who provides proof that they are employed by and working in a residential facility in the precinct and vouching for a resident in the facility signed an oath in the presence of the election judge, vouching that the voter or employee personally knows that the individual is a resident of the precinct. And then you know what they do is they match that residence to your voting history, to your registration. An Iowa, an eligible voter without an acceptable I'm sure they meant form of ID, like a driver's license or passport, can have their identity verified by another registered voter in their precinct, just like in Minnesota. Ooh, Iowa does it. In South Dakota, the vouching system doesn't come from another registered voter. It comes in the form of an affidavit from the individual voting. The state allows a person to sign a voter registration form stating they are who they say they are without confirmation from another registered voter. Ooh, but we're going to yell about Minnesota. Okay, sure. We're going to yell about Minnesota, though. Okay, sure. Anyway.
You're the Wisconsin.
Because I actually think we can do better. Yeah, so I think Wisconsin beats most states, no doubt. I'm not uniquely familiar with your home state's voter laws, but I can tell you in the neighboring states next to Wisconsin, we got some disasters on our hands.
How much time do you have under this law, if you vote provisionally, if you don't have photo ID, to be able to then ensure that your vote still counts? What's the time span?
You'd reference back to your state law on that.
I thought the standard here was 3 days, or is that wrong?
Is it? Oh, it is 3 days. I apologize.
3 days.
Apologize. 3 days.
72 hours.
All right. So if you forget your ID,
you've got 72 hours.
That'd be accurate.
And if you don't do that, then your vote doesn't count. Right?
Right. You would not have cured your ballot.
Correct.
Okay. So according to them, the Save America Act is going to allow you 72 hours. So you're still going to be able to do provisional ballots. I don't know what we're doing here. You're still going to be able to do provisional ballots. It's just giving you 72 hours for your proof. But he's going to ask him, what's the Wisconsin standard on provisional ballots?
Right.
Do you know what that time period is in Wisconsin?
Go ahead.
It's a lot longer.
Yeah. We also have many weeks of early voting. So an individual could go in and do their early in-person vote safely in the state of Wisconsin. And if you forgot it, you could show up day after day after day.
I would just simply say, obviously, I believe Colorado has a gold standard, but if it's good enough for the people of Wisconsin.
I mean, we've been doing mail-in ballots for a long time, not as long as necessarily as places like Oregon, who actually only do mail-in voting. mail-in voting. You can drop them off. It just means that you get sent a ballot if you're a registered voter. But I wonder, so what's the provisional ballot rule in Wisconsin? Let's see. My vote Wisconsin. You're eligible to vote and have a current and valid Wisconsin driver's license or identification, but you are unable or unwilling to list the number when you registered. You are a registered voter and you are unable or unwilling to provide proof of notification. Unwilling is insane. Provisional ballot will not be counted unless the voter provides the required information to the poll workers by 8 p.m. on election day or municipal clerk by 4 p.m. of the Friday following election day. So you get 72 hours. But with Wisconsin's standard that he said was more than fair, a fair and reasonable standard in Wisconsin is all the way up until election day or even the Friday following the election. That's interesting. Is he speaking to Congress? How do you know? I'm going to have to find that later now. Because I have to. So thank you, Nagoose. And then speaking of, PBS did now I don't really like it because they're not citing anything up until down here. So I'm going to go to where they're citing, right? I love PBS, but I just wasn't a huge fan. Oh, was it? Ew. So this is PBS. Here's what makes American elections so complicated and secure. It kind of goes into what I would feel is an opinion piece. I don't know why it's not, but it is by the Associated Press, which is what they're citing. So it's probably specifically what they're citing. I'm going to go into that here because that's where I would rather have it. AP review found there was too little voter fraud to tip the 2020 election. Trump has spent 6 years insisting he won the 2020 festival, a campaign he lost to former President Joe Biden. An Associated Press review in 2021 dug into every potential case of voter BS in the 6 battleground states that Trump disputed. It found fewer than 475 cases, a number that would have made no difference in that race. Ew. From Project Veritas, that's disgusting. Allegations from Trump of massive voting BS have been refuted by a variety of judges, state election officials, and an arm of his own administration's Homeland Security Department. In 2020, then Attorney General William Barr, a Trump appointee, told the AP that no proof of widespread voter BS had been uncovered. Quote, to date, we have not seen fraud on a scale that could have affected a different outcome in the election, he said at the time. So stop. But really, it is a good article. Again, it is from the AP. What they are referencing is that because of the fact that there are 10,000 different election jurisdictions in the United States, run by different entities set by state and local governments, it makes it hard to do widespread fraud. It makes it very difficult because of how the different systems are run. So you would have to show me that evidence. 6 years later, we can't find it, but here we are. W's, I hope you're still in here. Percycat, W Percycat for the follow over there on Twitch. Thank you so much. And also I was going to say also Percycat. I just like your name. Also W's. I'm just going to say creeping. W's to creeping for the $25, knocking out the rest of the goal. You said keep up the great work, and I will. They love to insult me. Jenna Griswold, jeez. No, she didn't. I don't even like her. I don't even fucking like her. But she definitely doesn't. So thank you, creeping. I appreciate you for knocking out the rest of that goal, guys. W to you guys. I appreciate it. And also thank you, Peter. Oh my God, I have crabs. Giving me crabs twice in one stream? Ooh, I love that. Thank you. So W's to Peter for the crabs. Thank you for that. And get this. And then I just want to... They're so desperate. The Republicans are so desperate because they know they're going to lose at least the House. Oh, you missed yesterday. Okay. If not, thank you so much. I see you. If not the Senate. I still see the Senate as an uphill battle, but the House for sure will most likely go back to Democrats. So they are so desperate that here's Representative Scalise. And I just want you to hear his comparison of the DSA in the Democratic Party. And just the fear-mongering. Do you guys have anything besides fear? Do you actually have policies that are beneficial for the American people, or do you just have fear-mongering? Is that all you have?
Look, The Bolshevik takeover of the Democrat Party is in full swing. And communism is on the ballot this November against freedom.
He's comparing the DSA to Bolsheviks. The Democratic Socialist Party are the Bolsheviks. Right. They're the Bolsheviks. Uh-huh. They're the Bolsheviks. I'm sorry. What was the... Listen, I'm going to say this. And I want to make clear. I am not supporting what the Bolsheviks did. But I am asking, what was the alternative to the Bolshevik Revolution? What was the alternative to that? The czars still being in power? A monarchy where they let their people starve? It's a modern day Red Scare. It is, except for they've taken out the aspect of Russia, which is interesting. Yeah, a king. The DSA are the Bolsheviks coming for the head of the monarchy. Oh no. And communism is on the ballot.
Look, the Bolshevik takeover of the Democrat Party is in full swing. And communism is on the ballot this November against freedom.
It's not. You can't show me that. Where there's a policy of communism, you're not going to be able to show that to me.
Make no mistake about that. The lines have never been more clear in an election.
Yeah, they've never been more clear. You guys have nothing. You have nothing to present to the American people that's going to be beneficial for them, so you have to go with fear-mongering, and the fear-mongering's getting really ridiculous. Comparing the DSA to Bolsheviks. Sure. Okay, actually, we'll do this. I was going to go into some Trump's... No, I'll do this little bit first, and then we'll move on. So this was a truth that he released this morning, I guess. Technically, the DSA platform calls for the end of capitalism eventually. It's not necessarily communism. You can put in a different system. And the Bolsheviks didn't even have communism, but sure. So this was a truth that Donald Trump put in this morning. I just want to read it. Rich people and companies are pouring out of Democrat-run blue states at levels never seen before. That's not true. We've actually seen a high rate of investment in places like New York, but sure. If this trend continues, these states will become the ghettos of the future. No people, no money, no hope. Make America great again. President Donald J. Trump. Just want to read this one very particular sentence. Just for no reason. 1930s. If this trend continues, these states will become the ghettos of the future. No people, no money, no hope. Now, let's go into some real quick definitions. So obviously it's going to give you a historical this is Merriam-Webster. It's going to give you a historical reference, right? A historical definition, okay? A quarter of a city, especially in Europe, in which Jewish people were formerly required to live. But let's get into the usage. An underprivileged district of a city or town in which members of a minority group live, especially because of social, legal, or economic pressure. It sounds like a threat. An isolated group. A situation that resembles a ghetto, especially in conferring inferior status or limiting opportunity. Of, relating to, being, or characteristic of an underprivileged district of a city or town, or the people who live there who are often members of minority groups. Just say what you want to say. Like, just say what you want to say. I'm just asking you to be honest. That's all. I just felt that fit with his little Bolshevik bullshit. All right. But let's move on to exactly what we're talking about here. So Tom Homan has been making the rounds. He is the border czar, right? And he's been kind of making the rounds, doing his little press tour. The problem with his press tour is he doesn't seem to know a lot. So this is him. I think it's Margaret Brennan that he is speaking with here on Face the Nation. And he is saying things about these two shootings. Specifically, we're talking about the one in Houston, saying that they had lights and sirens on. And she's like, no, they didn't. And he backs off and says, I haven't seen the videos. So then why the fuck are you saying that they had lights and sirens when you don't know? He doesn't seem to know a lot. Tom Homan is going on a press tour to pull the Mike Johnson, and we are going to watch him do it, unfortunately.
Yeah, but these were fatal shootings, of course, in Houston and in Maine. And in Houston, it was an unmarked car. So when you're...
Kevin, you'd have to prove illegal votes. That's the problem that you guys don't do.
But these were fatal shootings, of course, in Houston and in Maine. And in Houston, it was an unmarked car. So when you're saying don't resist, these individuals who were chasing the man who died, they didn't have markings on that vehicle that would allow for him to know that they were ICE. It just looked like a car coming after them in the videos.
No, they have emergency lights. Officers have insignia, so when they get out of that car and approach the car, you can clearly see the law enforcement officers.
No, they don't. How many videos have we seen of DHS officers not clearly identified? How many? Bullshit. They have identifiable insignia. Bullshit.
Well, in the video that has been public, it's not a marked car.
These people, I'm not saying it's a marked car, but they have emergency lights and sirens. So when they pull somebody, they want to activate the emergency lights.
After you chased them down and he didn't know who was chasing them down, you did not have the lights and sirens going before he was stopped. So you were chasing him down in an unmarked black car.
A lot of police departments. I'm in New York City right now. A lot of NYPD officers are driving unmarked vehicles, and that helps them find people that don't want to be found, right?
Sure, but they aren't doing car traces with them.
So, you know, but bottom line is, we'll see when the investigation plays out, but they would be like...
Kevin, they don't get paid to vote. That's not how that works. Can you prove that? Again, no. Incorrect. Wrong.
Today, if they simply comply...
Ooh, but... Actually, Elon Musk did that in Wisconsin.
With a vehicle stop by federal law enforcement, just comply. You can, if you don't think you've been treated right and they have
comply or die.
Had no reason to stop you, then there's avenues to take them to court, to sue.
Well, the family of the man in Houston said that he thought he was being robbed because it was an unmarked vehicle.
Also, him saying sue is incorrect. If I remember right, somebody posted about the fact that we have very specific stipulations of not being able to sue them.
Not that it was law enforcement at all.
If they were car chasing him, William, how was he running anybody over? We have yet to see any kind of proof that he was attempting to ram them with his vehicle. Prove that.
They had emergency lights. They activate emergency lights, blue and light. You know, in my vehicle I drive around with my security detail.
You've seen that on video?
Lights.
Because we haven't.
Seen what on video, ma'am?
That there were lights? Because in the videos that we've seen, there aren't. And because there weren't body cameras, it is hard to substantiate some of what you were saying.
Okay, what?
Where are the lights? Where are the lights? Where are the lights? Where are the sirens? Where's the ramming that they claimed he tried to do? Because in every video, he's in front of them, not behind them or to the side trying to ram them. So where's that?
I have not seen the videos, but I'm saying
Oh, I haven't seen the videos. I'm just talking out of my giant marble-mouthed asshole. Cool.
Vehicles are equipped with emergency lights. Now, if they didn't activate the lights, again, I haven't seen that video. If they didn't activate the lights, then there's an issue there, right? But I'm saying they are equipped with lights. So let me just caveat that. They should have been equipped with lights and sirens, but I do not know specifically if they activated those lights.
So then why'd they send you out? Why'd they send you out to speak if you don't know anything? Let's see. Let's see more of what he doesn't know on his campaign tour. This was him in front of the White House, and they're asking him about the officer in Maine, and if we are vetting these people correctly. We are getting more and more information that the officer who shot and killed someone in Maine, a legal immigrant, okay? We are finding out more information that he is violent from his ex-wives. So is the vetting process going well? Tom Homan surely would know that, right?
On the ICE officer in Maine, is there any more clarity on how he got his job, considering the vetting concerns that his wife has raised? Are there potential changes coming to the vetting process of ICE agents?
That's a question for ICE.
Oh, what the fuck is your job again? Why are you here? What the fuck is your job? If we have to, you haven't seen the video for the Houston one. You don't know about the vetting in regards to ICE with the guy in Maine. Okay. What's the point of you being here?
It's under investigation. I'm sure that part
Oh, to get $50,000 in a kava bag. I know.
now is part of the investigation. We'll let the investigation play out. I'm not going to comment on the investigation. This is ongoing.
By the way, I'm not pulling up the actual article on it because the DOJ is refuting it. But there's reporting that there was a memo and a letter sent out to the FBI about not investigating these ICE agents. So that's interesting. But then this is Homan talking about Minnesota. And because he claimed that what happened in Minnesota weren't mistakes, which is interesting because you murdered 2 people.
You just said that in Minnesota, what happened was.
He's actually not. That's the problem, G3, is he's not in charge of ICE. Todd Lyons was the acting director at the time. Who's in charge now? He nominated Lance Schroyer, but they have not had a Senate-confirmed director in nearly a decade, so they've been acting. Former acting ICE head Tom Homan serves as the board czar in charge of border control and deportation operations, so he should know. He's not in charge of ICE, but he should know. He doesn't.
Said that in Minnesota, what happened wasn't a mistake with the shootings that we saw.
I said, Democrats claim all these mistakes were made. And when I sat down with them, they said, well, they want a mask off. No, we're not taking mask off.
Well, you're saying it's not a mistake. Do you have an update on the investigation that the American people don't know?
Look, I went to Minnesota and I said, from day one, it was not a perfect operation. There were several chains of command.
Not a perfect operation. You murdered 2 people. It's not perfect. That's what I say when I bake a cake and it doesn't look like fucking Polly Pocket. Okay? I was like, hey, I tried to make Steve from Minecraft, but he didn't come out right. It's not perfect. That's what you say when you fuck up a cake, not when you murder 2 people in the street.
I had a problem with the targeting. I went out there and made changes. I brought in additional internal affairs agents in. We created one chain of command. And you know, I see a lot of people out there saying that, you know, oh, we surrendered Minnesota. No, we didn't.
You just said that.
We didn't. We didn't make mistakes in Minnesota. Quote. And then he continues his comply or die campaign that they've been doing.
Let's be clear, you know, you can attack the men and women at ICE all you want. It comes down to one simple fact. These people fail to comply with law enforcement.
You don't have to comply with ICE. They have no jurisdiction over you as a U.S. citizen. Okay? Okay. That's just your constitutional right. There is no law or statute that requires you to cooperate with ICE. Also, our nation was founded off of telling law enforcement to fuck off. Just to be clear.
You know, you can attack the men and women at ICE all you want. It comes down to one simple fact. These people fail to comply with law enforcement. Even some of the major chiefs in this country who don't necessarily agree with this administration says you always comply with law enforcement. But
Why? Why should I comply with law enforcement? I am a free U.S. citizen. Why should I do that? I have my freedoms that the Constitution gave me. Why should I do that?
Hi again.
Wrong. It feels like Tom Homan's never heard of the Fourth or the Fifth Amendments of the United States Constitution. They have to present a reason for why they've pulled you over, right? And then at that point, what you can do the entire time that they're there, if they don't have a warrant for you in any way, shape, or form, you can literally say, I'm utilizing my Fifth Amendment right to not answer your questions. And that's literally all you have to say the entire time, and cops, including federal agents, can do nothing about it. They cannot force you out of your car. That is illegal. That would be a violation of your Fourth Amendment. So this is a friendly reminder to all of our lovely friends. I don't care about your status. I don't know who you are, even if I don't know your name. If you are pulled over by a cop and they do more than just simply ask you a question of, can I get your license and your registration and insurance? Any other questions? You do not answer. I decline to answer. I do not answer questions, as is my Fifth Amendment right. That's all you have to say for anything. Even if they ask you, do you know how fast you were going in this 40-mile-per-hour speed limit? You just say, I decline to answer. If they're going to give you a ticket, let them give you a goddamn ticket. Do not incriminate yourself. Decline to answer. Invoke your Fifth. Remember, Donald Trump invoked it over 100 times.
God, it's true. Jay Bunkie, not always. There are some ICE agents that do that, which again would be unconstitutional and illegal. I recently saw a video where ICE stopped a woman and they are standing outside of her window and she is holding up her red placard that I'm sure she got from some sort of website of people trying to remember that you have constitutional rights. And all she says to them as they keep asking her, were you born in this country? What's your citizenship? Over and over and over, is she just repeats, I will not answer any questions without a lawyer. Am I under arrest or am I free to go? And she literally just keeps repeating that to every question that they ask. Guess what they did? They walked away. Because they can't do anything.
Yes. I saw that one too, like a week ago. But yeah, no, like you guys literally just refuse to answer questions, invoke your Fifth Amendment right, unless they give you a reason or they tell you that you're not free to leave or that you're under arrest. You do not, they cannot do anything unless you're going into California.
Uh-oh, we lost her. Unless you're going into where?
Random tidbit of knowledge that nobody needed to know.
Which none of us heard because your internet, your sound cut out.
No, I connect it to my Wi-Fi, which is why that happened. So your Fourth Amendment does not protect you from California's agricultural search. So don't be that asshole.
Okay.
Because that's been determined by the Supreme Court. But that's a different little tidbit of random California law knowledge. It does not apply to agricultural searches. So don't be that asshole. Okay, bye.
Okay, bye. Thank you so much to Erica Vixen once again for the $5 super chat. Thank you. You said, papers, please. This country is built on a healthy distrust of the government and disobedience towards those in power. Yeah, they have forgotten that. See, the thing is, they like the mindset of, I would like law enforcement to leave me the fuck alone and I will not comply. But everybody else that I don't like and disagree with me, you comply or you die. And that is why they are glazing Tom Homan's taint for saying these things when, as we have pointed out, and Ari has pointed out, you have no constitutional obligation to answer their questions or to comply with them without them having a fucking warrant. So
the hateful rhetoric that ICE isn't a real law enforcement agency. I see these signs that were resist. ICE are the, let's abolish them. They're fascists. When you keep that hateful rhetoric up for a year and a half, there's going to be that percentage of that population that it's going to be emboldened to take action because they're not real law enforcement.
He's having a fucking conniption, by the way.
Agency. I should resist them. All they had to do is simply comply with law enforcement. If you don't like what law enforcement did to you, then go to the courts.
No, I don't have to comply. That's the point that you're missing. My constitutional rights allow me to not comply. But it never, even if I have committed a crime that you would have to prove, does not give you the right to kill people. The sentence for non-compliance is not death.
Call the ACLU. Do whatever you want to do. We should always comply with law enforcement. If they did, they'd be alive today. Now, I'm not going to comment on the investigation itself. We'll wait for it to play out. This is about complying with law enforcement, and a lot of the...
How about fuck you? You don't get to just kill me because I told you to fuck off.
A lot of the negative hateful, and I said this a year ago, if a hateful rhetoric doesn't stop, there will be bloodshed. And
Yeah, it was a threat. You threatened the American people, and now you're killing them.
unfortunately, I was right. Now, I'll tell you something else. It's not over yet. Unless they keep attacking and miscommunicating what ICE does every day, calling them Nazis, and comparing ICE to the Nazi regime. Are you kidding me?
No, I'm not kidding you. They're absolutely acting like the Nazi regime. And so until you stop acting like Nazis, we're going to keep fucking calling you Nazis. Cry harder, bitch. So then Homan gets asked about the rollback by the Trump administration of Biden administration policy to be, no, I don't know if do I even have that clip of him? I don't know if I have that clip of him crashing out. But specifically, the Biden administration was trying to roll out policy in regards to body cameras for ICE agents and federal agents in general. And yet, the Trump administration is trying to roll that back. Okay. And I think we got new reporting that the shooting in Maine, that they had body cameras on them, but they were off. Why? You're okay with that? You guys just love a police state? Someone, police state gets me hard. That you guys don't want accountability? Just remember, what they can do to them, they can do to us, and they have.
I want the American people to see what that ICE officer sees when he takes action. And I think it's going to help ICE with the false media that's out there about it.
But then why did the administration roll back what the Biden administration is trying to do to get body cameras and all?
That's a question above me. I'm someone.
Oh, another number 3. Question number 3, he doesn't know. I didn't watch the video, so I don't know if they had lights and sirens on. Ask somebody else. Is the vetting process secure? I don't know. That's a question for ICE. What about the rollback of body cameras that the Trump administration tried to push back on from the Biden administration? I don't know. That's a question above me. Number 3, why is Tom Homan out here?
I came back, and then when Democrats shut the government down, I was a part of that negotiation team up on the Hill. They kept wanting the American.
Oh, okay. Where are those body cameras? Where are they? $70 billion in funding. Where are they? I'm going to play that right at the end of it, I think. I think that's what I'm going to do. Of the end of my Homan clips audio, I'm going to play that one because I don't think I have that. So again, this is him talking about his fear that we're going to bury an ICE agent if this keeps up. But we just keep burying U.S. citizens and immigrants.
Now, I'm not going to comment on the investigation itself. We'll wait for it to play out. This is about complying with law enforcement and a lot of the negative, hateful. And I said this a year ago. If a hateful rhetoric doesn't stop, there will be bloodshed. And unfortunately, I was right. Now, I'll tell you something else. It's not over yet. Unless they keep attacking and miscommunicating what ICE does every day, calling them Nazis, and comparing ICE to the Nazi regime. Are you kidding me? And I'm not saying the whole country is convinced, but there's going to be that population that's just going to embolden to do something stupid. And I'm afraid that we're going to bury an ICE agent. I'm afraid I'm going to...
Have we? Have we buried an ICE agent yet? No, I don't want to see that happen. Because it would be their lovely excuse for fucking militia in the streets, but... Has it happened, or are we burying U.S. citizens and immigrants? Who are we killing? The issue, when that happens, let me know. Yeah. The issue I have is that my money, my U.S. taxpayer dollars, are paying a governmental organization to murder people. And I'm not okay with that. Yeah, Audrey, me too. You want a Bolshevik revolution.
hand another folded flag to a spouse or a child of an ICE agent for simply doing his job. And for any member of...
I don't care, because you know... repeat that. Repeat that one more time so I can crash out.
Spouse or a child of an...
Repeat it so I can crash out.
That we're going to bury an ICE agent. I'm afraid I'm going to hand another folded flag to a spouse or a child of an ICE agent for simply doing his job.
Where in history was "I was just doing my job" ever an acceptable answer? In this fucking video, he says, stop calling them Nazis. He said, comparing them to Nazis, are you kidding me? And then sits here and says, I don't want to hand another folded flag, which is not how that fucking works unless they're a goddamn veteran, you fucking idiot. Because ICE is not the military. Okay? Hasn't happened. But you don't want us to compare them to Nazis, but then say that if and when they die, You're going to be upset because they were just doing their job. They were just following orders, right? Nuremberg trials? Okay. Okay. By the way, you don't get a folded flag for working for ICE unless you are a goddamn veteran. He did that to go at you so you clutch your pearls about the veterans that you claim to care about that you don't. And as an Air Force brat, I resent that remark.
And for any member of Congress to keep attacking ICE and calling them fascists and Nazis, I said it 1,000 times. If they're a Nazi from...
Do they? Cops? Well, cops do. Federal agents do? Interesting. I did not know that. Thank you for the update on that, Ari.
Enforcing the law.
But when they die, tell me.
What's that make them? They wrote the law. Where are they?
They wrote the law. Follow it. Follow the law. That's all we're asking you to do is not murder citizens in the street. That's what we're fucking asking you to do. Erica, thank you so much for the $5 super chat. Said Tom is using the Nuremberg defense. Yep, just following orders. I was just following orders. That worked for the Nazis, right? It totally did. Yeah, I remember that. That worked out well for them. So then now I'm gonna play the one that thank you that Ari sent me. Of apparently where he crashes out and leaves. I missed that one somehow.
I'm not making this up. We're enforcement laws they wrote and that they appropriate us money to enforce. Now, I'll say it once again. If ICE agents acted inappropriately or illegal, they'll be held accountable, just like they were held accountable in Minnesota.
No, they weren't. He was just moved. He wasn't held accountable. He was not taken off of duty. They admitted that all they did was move him to a different operation in a different city. He was not held accountable. What are you talking about?
Everybody, guys, ICE agents are mom and dads too. They don't hang their heart on a hook every day to do this job. And it's just not attack on the ICE agents, attack on their spouses and children, and no one knows that better than me. I can't even go get a quart of milk at a grocery store without a security detail. Why? Because I'm enforcing laws in this country. It's pathetic and it's disgusting.
Oh, no.
Thank you, Mr. Holman.
I'm getting yelled at the grocery store because I'm a fascist. Fuck you. How about that? How about that, Tom Holman? Shit, I need to keep that up so that I can put it over here. God. Okay, so actually, speaking of Minnesota, so there was this, thank you, Kyle Cheney, we love you. Federal judge in Minnesota, Trump appointed. What are you guys gonna do with that? Uh-oh. SpaghettiOs. Trump appointed Chief Judge Eric Tostrad has rejected the administration's effort to force Minnesota to cooperate in enforcing federal immigration law. Uh-oh, 10th Amendment strikes again. Why did I sound like I sounded like Jennifer Coolidge? The defendants in this case adopted and enforced so-called sanctuary laws and policies that restrict their participation in federal immigration enforcement. Some laws, for example, limit the sharing of information defendants may possess regarding non-citizens who have been present in their jurisdictions. Other laws forbid local law enforcement officers from engaging in immigration enforcement activities. The United States claims these laws and policies violate the federal Constitution's supremacy clause in two ways. It claims that federal law preempts them, and two, it claims they burden the federal government in violation of the intergovernmental immunity doctrine, and it seeks a declaration that the sanctuary laws and policies are unconstitutional and an injunction prohibiting defendants from enforcing them. The claims raise legal questions regarding the balance of power between the national government on one hand and a state and its political subdivisions on the other. Defendants seek the case's dismissal on various grounds, to varying degrees, by all challenged subject matter jurisdiction under federal civil procedure. The city of Minneapolis challenges the sufficiency of process and its service under rules, these ones. All defendants challenge the complaint's merits under rule that one. The motions will be granted, though not on every ground defendants advance, and the case will be dismissed. The short version is this. The United States preemption challenge to the Minnesota Constitution fails for lack of subject matter jurisdiction, but no other claim will be dismissed on this basis. The United States service of process on the city of Minneapolis was deficient, but not so much as to warrant dismissal on this ground. The remaining claims fail on their merits. The preemption claims fail for several reasons, but primarily because, as the United States construes its assertedly preemptive laws, they violate the anti-commandeering doctrine. The intergovernmental immunity claims fail because the challenged laws and policies do not discriminate against the United States in the sense the intergovernmental immunity doctrine requires. Uh-oh. That was a Trump judge. That was a Trump judge. You guys like that? Minnesota doesn't have to comply with helping. Why? Constitution. Constitution once again. And then we had this story that I wanted to show from NPR. I'm sure you guys have seen it. ICE shared Medicaid data it wasn't supposed to have with Palantir. What the fuck? After Medicaid officials improperly shared data about millions of people in January with immigration officials, ICE then shared that data with the data analytics firm Palantir, according to new court filings. Palantir operates an app called Elite that is used by ICE agents to show the addresses of non-citizens who may be subject to deportation. That revelation was made public in a motion filed Thursday by more than 20 Democratic attorney generals who sued the Trump administration last year over its data sharing agreement between the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services and ICE. Palantir said in a statement to NPR that the data set in question had been purged. U.S. District Judge Vince Cabrera in California ruled in December that health officials could share with ICE certain details from Medicaid data about immigrants without lawful status from the states that had sued, such as home addresses, dates of birth, and immigration status. Cabrera, who was appointed by former President Obama, then temporarily paused data sharing between CMS and ICE for immigration enforcement purposes in late May, after federal officials admitted CMS had shared data with ICE in January that went beyond what the court order allowed. One data set of refugees in Minnesota included U.S. citizens, and another that was transferred on January 7th contained data of millions of people, including those in the country legally. ICE was supposed to delete the improperly shared data. Cabrera set a hearing for August to further clarify his order and clear up ambiguity regarding which categories of non-citizens' data could be lawfully shared with ICE. But in recent days, federal officials have admitted to additional instances of improper data sharing. In a court filing last week, the Justice Department said that CMS again inadvertently reshared with ICE the data set with millions of names that CMS had first improperly shared with ICE in January. The government said the error occurred during an effort to share data from states not involved in the lawsuit. Maybe we should stop worrying about fraud, okay, within CMS, and maybe worry about the fact that they keep releasing data and sharing it with entities they are not allowed to, and with the entities they are allowed to, they're sharing data that is beyond their purview to share. Maybe Dr. Oz and J.D. Vance should focus on that. Just a thought. Okay? Just a thought. Alberto Brazzeno, a section chief for ICE's Homeland Security Investigations, wrote in a declaration that ICE personnel deleted the file after it was discovered and it was not used for law enforcement purposes. I would like to see proof of that. Then Brazzeno revealed that a day later, the agency had done a broader search and discovered that half a dozen users still had a copy of the January 7th dataset. In that most recent declaration, Brazzeno said he was not aware of any additional copies of the dataset, but said the recent searches have highlighted technological difficulties of making a representation that every possible variation of the file has been searched for and located. He added, ICE will continue to make good faith efforts to delete any copies that may be found in the future. The problem is, like everything with the internet, once it's out there, it's out there. Meanwhile, the Department of Justice is asking the judge to expand his order to allow ICE to receive data on a broader category of non-citizens to potentially include all immigrants who are not legal permanent residents, citizens, or have another form of permanent status. ICE's inability to identify Medicaid records in its possession undercuts any claim that the agency should be entitled to more access to that data, the Democratic attorney generals wrote in their motion filed late Thursday. Right. You are not good with the records you have. Why would we allow you access to more? Their motion continued. Each successive revelation of a violation of the order makes it more difficult for plaintiff states to have confidence in defendants' ability to maintain and secure this data in compliance with the order, and more difficult for plaintiff states to communicate assurances to Medicaid providers, enrollees, and their counsel, and the public at large about the privacy and confidentiality of their healthcare data. Palantir provided the following statement to NPR. Our customers control their own data and manage access to that data. When Palantir employees are granted access to a customer's data set, it is solely to help integrate and analyze that data, which is what our software does, not to store it or use it for our own purposes. Palantir can confirm that the data set in question was purged pursuant to government instruction. DHS didn't immediately return a request for comment about its transfer of data to Palantir. According to a declaration filed by California Deputy Attorney General Anna Rich, when plaintiffs asked what federal officials did to ensure Palantir and other contractors had purged the data, defendants responded that the data had been shared over a Microsoft Teams chat, and the shared data was deleted from the chat. Rich shared in her declaration a document turned over in discovery from federal officials that shows a redacted transcript of what appears to be ICE personnel asking Palantir to delete the file. In an April 30th hearing, Cabrera had warned the federal government would not be able to continue using Medicaid data for deportation efforts if it continued improperly sharing the data of citizens and legal immigrants. If the federal government cannot be sufficiently careful, then it can't use the information. Okay, Cabrera had said. Love that. We're so safe. Yay. Love our American freedom and our data being safe from big bad daddy government. Love that for us. Okay, a little bit to get through in way of immigration, and then we'll probably be done for the day. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate you. As I see Peter advocating for, let's make sure that we get to 200,000 likes before we end. I was on for 3 hours. I know we had a low viewership. We had a high viewership on YouTube, and then it dropped. Whatever. I don't care. They cry. No phone calls today in way of factually based information, but I know you guys can at least hit 200,000. Thank you guys so much for pushing forth with those fingers. Get them going really fast, and we can get that accomplished before we end. All right. Trigger warning. I'm going to play this video from CBS. This is an interview that they did, okay, with the sons, Ronaldo and Lorenzo Salgado Jr. These are the sons of Lorenzo Salgado Araujo, who was murdered by ICE in Houston, okay?
I know it's only been a week since the fatal shooting of your dad, but what do you think you will miss the most about him?
What we would have missed the most about him? I just miss his presence, knowing that he's there, a phone call away.
Real quick, I will replay that. We will get into it. Joey, you said people have been arrested and charged with fraud. Yes, that's true. Now, I know I used the quotations. I was kind of rage baiting you guys a little bit by saying fraud. What I'm saying is that they are focusing so hard on going specifically after immigrants and minority communities that they're not focused on what's happening in their own backyard with their own people in the department. And I have an issue with that. I'm not saying fraud is not happening. I'm saying that we knew about it. You guys are new to it. Congratulations. Nick Shirley was 4 years late in California. He was about 3 years late. No, he was longer than that because those investigations started in 2018. So he is like 9 years late, 8 years late from the investigations in Minnesota for fraud. So again, yes, fraud happens. What about those red states? They also commit fraud. So I'm just saying, focus on, do your job in all aspects.
I know it's only been a week since the fatal shooting of your dad, but what do you think you will miss the most about him?
What we would have missed the most about him? I just miss his presence, knowing that he's there, a phone call away. Yeah. And he always made time for us. And, you know, knowing that at the end of the day, my mom would have her companion back. And me, I left Houston for college and then never really moved back. And it was always a really strong feeling for me because we were raised to be very family-centric and, you know, just loving our parents and wanting the best for them too, as much as they wanted the best for us. It felt nice that I knew my mom was being supported and I knew my dad was being supported by my mom. And just losing that presence is, I'm not sure how to describe it. I mean, for me, I'm gonna miss his laugh. He had an infectious laugh. He had an infectious laugh that, you know, it was loud. It was resounding. It was something. I always miss seeing his hats. He wore a lot of hats to work. He wore one every day. I miss seeing him, you know, just lying around. And there would be times where I would be driving
just around, and I would see him driving past me, and we always wave at each other. I was always flash our lights to say hello, and I always recognize him because his van was, it's a van that we've grown up seeing since we were born. I mean, he's had different vans, and there was always a way to figure out if it was him. He was always wearing a hat. So I'm really gonna miss that.
Yeah, not seeing vans. When we're driving around, for a split second, I have to remind myself that it's not him.
When you see a van.
When I see a white van down the street, yeah.
And that was the vehicle he was driving when he was fatally shot.
That was the vehicle he went to work in every morning. And that morning, he was in that van.
So yeah, just remember that there are people behind these things. There are people behind these murders and these deaths, and I just want us all to remember that. Joey, you said that you definitely want to have the red states investigated too. That's fine. You're saying it looks like it's more apt in Democratic states, but the problem is, again, is what you are factoring into is the scope with which you are being given, right? The Trump administration is only looking at a scope of blue states, and they're not looking at the red states, and that's part of the problem is because the Trump administration themselves have pardoned fraudsters. So I want fraud investigated on all sides. And you said, oh, under the Trump administration. It wasn't the Trump administration that was investigating that fraud in Minnesota. It was the state of Minnesota. That is what you are not understanding. It wasn't a federal investigation. Oh, no. I correct myself. It would have been because they were getting federal funding for Feeding Our Future. You are correct. It was under the Trump administration. Sure, they started the investigations. But there were also state-level charges that were done as well in Minnesota going after these fraudulent corporations, fraudulent companies, fraudulent people. I have no problem with that. All I'm saying is the scope with which they're giving you is going to appear like blue states because that's what they want to push. And they're not showing us red states. We haven't seen that. We haven't seen, I showed the video of Nick Shirley being questioned about why he hasn't talked about the fraud pardons at all from Donald Trump. Why hasn't he spoken about that? If he's going after fraud, why hasn't he admonished the president for those things? It's just a question that I've wondered. I apologize, by the way, for that video, but I think it's important to humanize and to remember that there are people behind this. The reason I got teary-eyed, one, I'm just a humanist, but two, brings up feelings for me. My father was not murdered. My father died from having a seizure, but I was 16, and one of the biggest things that I know as part of the Dead Dads Club that nobody fucking wants to be a part of, but once you are in it, you are in it. I would pay anything and give anything just to hear his laugh one more time. So that's the one that hit me. Okay, moving on. David Beer of the Cato Institute. David Beer does all the immigration stuff in way of the Cato Institute, talking about a very specific thing. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to read the DOJ indictment first. So the Department of Justice has an indictment on a man by the name of Hurtado Cariaco. I apologize if I pronounced that last name wrong, but their indictment is charging him, Venezuelan national and suspected Tren de Aragua member charged with attempted murder of a federal officer. Now, I'm going to look at the complaint, According to the complaint, Hurtado Cariaco, a suspected member of Tren de Aragua, began to fight with one special agent where both landed on the ground. Hurtado Cariaco was able to throw the agent off him, launching the agent through the air, resulting in the agent forcefully striking their head and elbow on the pavement, injuring them. A second special agent engaged with Hurtado Cariaco to subdue and detain him. I'm just going to say Hurtado. Hurtado resisted with both landing on the ground. While both agents tried to control Hurtado while on the ground, he maneuvered behind the injured agent and placed the agent in a chokehold. Hurtado ignored commands from the other agent and continued to choke the agent on the ground. The second agent placed Hurtado in a chokehold to stop the assault. Hurtado released his chokehold on the agent and then used his leverage, broke away from the second agent, and ran. The agents pursued Hurtado by foot, locating him at his apartment in Bellevue, and arrested him without further incident. So that is what the claim in the indictment by the DOJ is. Let's watch the video of the arrest. Well, of the non-arrest, because he got away and they had to go find him later. Remember, launched an agent who hit their elbow and their head in the street and then put them in a chokehold. I'm still waiting for the chokehold. We saw the agent fall to the ground. Wasn't thrown. Bitch, you tripped. You top heavy. I'm sorry about that. I'm waiting for the chokehold. Did anybody see a chokehold? It's so sad for them. He wasn't even running very fast. So let's show the fall, right? Okay, he didn't throw them. Where's the chokehold? I'm still waiting on the chokehold. I watched it like 3 times this morning. That's gonna be a fun indictment to watch. It's gonna be a fun case. Thank you, Dead Internet Theory, for using those emotes. Thank you, Aliosher, for the 14 bits. Thank you so much. Thank you, Rocky Coast, for following over there on Twitch. Where's the chokehold? Oh, there wasn't one? Okay, cool. Cool. Just again, DOJ lying their ass off. Just make sure you vet your sources about the things you believe as you write in my YouTube chat about the increase in alleged rammings. Okay? Who's telling you that? Should you believe them?
Okay, I think I found the chokehold.
Oh, did you
I'm
find
pretty
it?
sure one of the agents was accidentally fucking chokeholding the other one.
Chokeholding
Like,
the
'cause
other one?
yes, I like, because
I've got
there's one part that he like slips out, but the agents are holding on to each other.
Oh, we love love. Oh, yeah, his arms are I've got you, buddy. I've got him. No, that's me. That's me, Bruce. Let go.
That's exactly like, I was like, there it
That's
is.
not a chokehold. He's trying to get his arm out from your.
But because of that, that could feel like a chokehold because they were getting their asses handed to them by themselves, to themselves. I don't fucking know how to even describe that. But yeah, it may have felt like a fucking chokehold because like they were just wedged between. Yeah.
Yeah. But I think they're charging him the way they're charging him because they were embarrassed for their fucking bullshit.
That's embarrassing as fuck.
He was not running fast at all. You couldn't catch up with him. He gave up, like, I'm gonna bring it up again. He gave up so quickly running after him. Like, yeah, okay, we saw the dummy bitch fall. I'm gonna mute that because it's just goddamn dogs barking. Right? Okay. It's just, where is it? Go back. He wasn't even running very fast. Okay, so she falls, or they fall. I'm not sure if it's man or woman. He gave up! He didn't even try!
And they launched themselves. That's the other thing. Where it's just like,
Yeah, that where he takes off and then they try to grab his pants.
your charger.
Looks like a woman. Try to grab his pants and then whoop, tumble. Like,
Yeah, he just stopped.
My charger was plugged into
That's so embarrassing.
Mommy, my charger was
Top heavy Bruce.
Top heavy Bruce. They only hire the best. The vetting is good.
W's or something.
So I have a couple more clips and then we'll get out of here. So this, the only reason I'm playing it is because he's in charge of DHS. So I don't know I have not read it yet. So I want to be clear on that I have not read anything in regards to what happened in New York yesterday. Okay. But I wonder what information they have, because what I did see on Twitter, which is why I'm saying I haven't read it yet, because I have not read actual information. I've just seen stuff on Twitter about what happened in New York yesterday, and that's not proof enough for me. But what I was initially seeing was the right going off, leftist terrorist strike again. I don't know because I haven't read it. But I wonder what they've read, because we went from leftist terrorist to mental disorder for our veteran very, very quickly, and I want to know why.
Today, in the past hour, we've been learning more details about this incident in New York City. 43-year-old Army veteran lights a fire outside of a federal building, pulls out airsoft, handguns and rifles, takes a few shots, apparently also armed with axes and knives. What can you tell us about this investigation?
Well, I hate to sound like an elected person here, which I'm not. I'm appointed, but I gotta do my part. This is still under investigation.
He was an elected senator before he was given this spot. I don't know what he's trying to do. But to be fair, he's going to answer like, I can't give much information because investigation. That's totally fair. Honestly, it's a fair answer, and I hate him, so.
It happened at 8:40 this morning. Obviously, he was apprehended. We recovered his backpack. He did have knives on him. He had knives in his backpack. He had airsoft pistols with him. We are not trying to jump to conclusions, but just by the reports we're getting, this guy may have been suffering from a mental illness, but we'll know that as investigation goes forward. No one was injured. That's the best thing. And
ooh, is he white?
I thought he looked brown to me when I saw pictures of him being arrested, but I just wonder why the narrative has changed now that we found out he's a veteran. It's weird. Yeah, also, yeah, I'm not going to jump to conclusions, but I'm going to jump to conclusions.
Sometimes when you see this, just discussing it, but sometimes when you see this, especially when they're armed with non-lethal weapons, it can almost be like a suicidal approach. And we hope that isn't the case. And if this was suffering from some mental illness, that maybe we can get this Army veteran some help.
Okay.
Again, just Twitter was going off with the leftists or terrorists, and now all of a sudden it's an Army veteran who needs our help. Not that you guys actually care. What changed? I wonder. In their information. Again, I haven't read it yet. I don't know. Just asking. W to the
W
TikTok
200K.
chat. W for the 200K. Thank you guys so much for hitting that 200K. I appreciate you guys so much for doing that. One more video. This one's going to piss whatever's left of hate watching MAGA off. I know you guys aren't around because there's just not much to defend anymore. But this is going to piss them off on two fronts, their Islamophobia and their bigotry and racism in regards to ICE. This is Abdul El-Sayed, who is running for he's running for Senate, right? Yeah. He's running for a Senate seat in Michigan. His primary is coming up in August against Haley Stevens. And their biggest delineation really is going to be, he wants to abolish ICE, she wants to reform it. He wants no funding for Israel, and she wants funding for unconditional funding for Israel. So it is an interesting race to watch. As it comes closer, we'll get a little bit more into it, hopefully. But this is his speech, part of his speech regarding ICE, and I thought it was just a good way to end with a little rage bait, because he's fucking brilliant. If you have not listened to him speak, he's great. He did an interview with PodSave Friday, I think. It was a good one. She did not pull punches, and neither did he. And so I thought it was good in that way of that interview. But here we go.
ICE has nothing to do with immigration. ICE has nothing to do with the southern border. ICE is about normalizing paramilitary force on our streets. ICE is about weaponizing the idea of immigration against the Constitution itself. ICE cannot be reformed. ICE cannot be retrained. ICE has to be abolished. You're not getting another dime of our money. Not one more dime. Not one more. And I think we owe it to the American public to have a fulsome investigation of all the laws that were broken. And a fulsome understanding of why they were broken. And anyone who broke the law ought to be held accountable to the law. Because the law of this land is the Constitution, and you will not rip up the Constitution over immigration.
Much like you guys want to do. You guys would love to rip up the Constitution for immigration, but guess what? You don't get to. Too bad. So sad for you. Love that. Love that. I like him already. No, he's great. He really is.
Yeah, I like him already. I love the way he talks.
Hmm.
It's giving very much 1950s recording.
I don't know why it was gritty like that. It is interesting. I don't know why it was gritty like that. But he gives me like the same, when I listen to certain people speak, right? We always are kind of looking for, in the populist realm, right? You're kind of looking for that Obama energy. I think people like him and people like John Ossoff kind of, CKM just said it, kind of give me that energy of populism with good policy. He is a doctor also. So that's a W. In the way he speaks. If you listen to him speak more, you do get a lot more of that when you listen to him. So, what is going on in my YouTube? Are you guys okay? You're not okay. I mean, I know you're not. Running on a Democratic Party ticket will push him further toward reform. He has not. That's the so. What was the number? Was it 30 million or 50 million that he said? Oh, let's try to find it. Have a little time. We'll try to find it. That he said AIPAC has spent to get him to lose. Go to Pod Save. He did that interview with Katie, I thought. Where is she? There it is.
You've called her
Let me see if I can find. 'Cause it was
a sort of Trojan horse for the
frame of the debate.
I think AIPAC affiliated super.
Okay. Yeah. Perfect. I was already there still because I was showing my brother the other day. So it's at the part where it needs to be.
Questions that
You said Trojan
is
horse.
itself
I'm so sorry. It's time to watch Epic again.
He's not a Trojan. He's not a Trojan horse.
She said something about Trojan horse. Now it's time to watch Epic. Now you gotta go out on a fucking song too.
Okay. Well, that's fine.
a question we should be asking, like, why is this the frame of the debate?
I think AIPAC affiliated super PACs have spent about $15 million so far to
30.
defeat you.
30.
30. $30 million AIPAC has spent towards his opponent in the primaries, Haley Stevens.
Okay, I'm
30.
wrong. Sorry. Updated stats. And your opponent, Haley Stevens.
I just wanted to update. We don't have to watch the interview.
I just want to let you know, her name is Alex Wagner. I think you said Katie something.
I did. I was wrong. I was thinking of Katie Fang. That's not Katie Fang. That's Alex Wagner. Yes.
Okay, that's all. I just wanted to correct that because I'm weird. Okay, bye.
No, that's fine. Wrong person. Bye. Okay, let me see. What am I gonna? I have to do like I've been doing it kind of in order, but not in order because like I don't all the songs don't need to be played, but yeah, we'll do that one, I guess. And then we'll get out of here. Who should we rate on TikTok? I don't know. I don't play well with others. I think that's my problem. Not you leaving me when she said, I don't play well with others either. Don't ask me. Why is Chicky live? Is Chicky live for her needs to be because duh? Because she has to be live? Is that what's happening, Chicky? Okay. Yeah, so that's probably what we're going to do. For YouTube and Twitch, you guys can't listen to the music anyway, so I apologize. I will be back tomorrow. My plan is 9 a.m. Mountain Time. 9 a.m. Mountain Time, okay? So, come back. Maybe you guys will be brave and actually have a conversation. The phone lines were open that entire time. They are now going to be off. But I hope to see you guys next time. I'm going to send you to RTP because I think that he's full of information that is important, and you guys need that information desperately in your lives. So I'm going to send you guys there. Let's raid over here. Set that up. Yes. Oh, excuse me. My stomach is going. Get that going. So I'm going to end on YouTube and Twitch.